go.
What up, what up, what up? You are live and direct on Petty Sports, the podcast, brought to you by Kings Broadcasting Studios. It's your boy, the host. They call me Famous Fees. They also call me Facts. How about that? I'm here live with my man, Adam. Holla at him. You like these flows today, huh?
Yeah, man. You already know what's going on, everybody. Petty Sports Tuesday night edition. Right after Monday Night Football, man. Crazy show on deck tonight. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Instagram family, what's up? Hop in the chat. No phone tonight. Little different setup, but make sure to sub on YouTube. Like I said, comment. Just get in the chat, man. Let us know what you think. We love to have your take. Fees, take us off tonight, man. What we got going on?
Oh, we always got a loaded show as usual. We talking a whole lot of NFL. It's been a usual character reinstated one more time, so we're going to definitely start the show talking about that nonsense. We had a wild weekend of football just this past weekend. I know Adam been gloating since Sunday about how his Saints smacked my Pats like that. We got some crazy matchups coming. The return of Brady to Foxborough, so we're going to definitely chop that up. And, you know, we always give you them picks. Like, our picks be looking good. We're definitely in double digits every week. So, man, y'all make sure you make your bets. Like, man, you get your pen and paper out so you can make your bets on us. Go ahead, get your popcorn ready. Get you a good stick. Get you a nice, good drink. Because it's about that time. We getting petty in here.
Baby. Let's get it loaded, show.
Right off the top, Josh Gordon, for the 7th time, has been reinstated in the NFL after 6 suspensions.
Sheesh.
This dates back to 2013, and now it's reported that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to sign him as early as tonight, like over to the practice squad.
I've heard so many different numbers. 5, 6, 7. Too many. Too many.
So, I mean, does Josh Gordon actually deserve to be on anyone's team?
Absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. And, you know, like I said, Fees, before we got on here, this guy is taking a job away from someone that's out there following protocols, you know, following rules, following conditions. And, you know, I've never been an addict. I've never had to struggle with actually overcoming, you know, that type of addiction. So I can't fully relate to what, Josh Gordon is actually going through. So I don't want to sit up here and be hateful with my comments. But hell, after the 3rd time, like, doesn't something have to give? He's clearly not committed to staying within this protocol to play in an elite, you know, sports league. And, you know, even further, we always talk about how horribly ran the NFL is. And at the end of the day, like, we really shouldn't patronize this league, but the product is too damn good. But Roger Goodell is consistently, you know, year in and year out, basically competing for one of the worst commissioners in sports. I mean, Rob Manfred is awful. Thank God Adam Silver's kind of had some, you know, sense of him. Great pull off with the NBA bubble. But, you know, we see it time and time again, slap on the wrist. Like, have we forgotten about Chad Wheeler? You know, he pled not guilty to all that. That incident was horrible, absolutely horrible. And the NFL is so soft. They are so pushover-like. They just don't have a backbone when it comes to disciplining your players. And like I said, this is too many times for Josh Gordon. I brought it up and kind of related it to Tebow. People got pissed that he got the opportunity. In my opinion, this is much worse because now he's got his 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever chance it is. The dude is not committed to staying in this league under the protocol. I don't agree with this signing at all. Now he's got the speed for Kansas City. Could he benefit the offense? Yeah, sure. Mahomes loves weapons, but this is not morally right whatsoever.
I mean, he used to have the speed. I mean, last time we saw him on the field between him being in New England and Seattle, I remember Uncle Shay telling me he looked like he had a piano on his back.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that speed anymore. And it's really insane that he's actually being reinstated. I mean, like, abuse issues aside, there are protocols and rules to this thing. And there are a lot of players who were not given opportunities to come back after much lesser infractions that had nothing to do with that other than just being like, may have had injury, gotten old.
Yep.
I mean, there's a guy that we all know named Terrell Owens that works out all the time. Like, hey, I'm here. He's trying to get back in.
Consistently
Des Bryant's
putting out the
trying to
content
get
as
back
well.
in. Chad Ochocinco Johnson is trying to get back in. I don't remember them being suspended for violating protocols and league policies.
Right.
You just call them divas or whatever else you wanted to say, but they didn't break any rules.
Exactly. They might have been hell in the locker room, but they weren't violating, PEDs and, just like you said, breaking these protocols and rules. Like they are set in place. It is such a permission and such an opportunity to play in the NFL. And if you're going to, like I said, you're taking a job away from somebody. I was just mind blown when I heard this.
Right. This is like the anti-Tebow. Why is this man getting so many chances? I'm like, man, he's putting cats to shame. Like, he got way more lives than them.
Yeah, makes zero sense.
This dude say he used to drink Henny and smoke weed before the game. I mean, and the crazy part is that was before he said that was during that 2013 season when he was first team All-Pro and had 1,600 yards receiving.
Right, led the league in receiving, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Craziness. And still get another chance. I mean, I don't know why the hell are the Chiefs actually signing him, though.
Right.
It's like, figure out how to get the ball to Tyreek Hill. The wide receiver position isn't your problem. Stop turning the ball over. That's what y'all are doing.
Right. And it's like, like you said, the Chiefs, they don't need another weapon. They've got dudes out there. But, I mean, if they're going to bring him in, then you take that risk. The Chiefs, I got to read the comment, whatever was just said. I see you cracking up.
LJ said by now, just let that man smoke on the sideline.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's what it's going to come down to. What's going on, Cher? LJ, appreciate you tuning in. Share the show. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I was like, another reinstate. Like, I thought he was done because he's missed 3 seasons of his career, and he's had multiple indefinite suspensions, and they just keep getting lifted. It makes no sense to me.
Now, who does he know? He must know where all the bodies are buried.
Wesley, Graham, Mike Davis, what's happening, guys? Instagram family, what's going on? Appreciate y'all hopping in.
Oh, yeah, the crew was in here live and direct tonight.
100%.
So, man, we're going to go ahead and jump in. I know it's a lot of games that y'all want to hear us talk about. I mean, some of y'all don't want to hear us talk about them. I mean, including myself, actually. But we're going to start off right from the top. Green Bay, San Francisco. That was a crazy game for Sunday night.
Yep.
Back and forth. Aaron Rodgers and the boy Jimmy G, they dueled it out. I mean, it was a crazy game. Like, man, what were your takeaways from that? Because we really were kind of concerned with what Green Bay was going to be moving forward from week to week, looking so inconsistent.
100%. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about, back-to-back big-time, prime-time wins for a Packers team who has wanted to, specifically Aaron Rodgers wanting to beat Jimmy Garoppolo in a pretty high-stakes game. Yeah, it's week 3, but this is a team that a lot of people expect to be in the running later on in the year. And, now that Rodgers, you've seen him struggle against the Niners in recent memory when it mattered the most. I mean, Rodgers absolutely shriveling up, losing by 3 plus possessions in a couple of those games, embarrassed in the NFC Championship, 38-7 loss when he had like 100 passing yards. Absolutely horrible. So this was a big game for Aaron Rodgers. And, every Packers fan being in Levi's Stadium, watching from home, like they were kind of nervous because this is a team that has come to trouble the Packers in recent memory. But I got to give a shout out to the Packers O-line coach, being down Bakhtiari, being down Jenkins, I believe, and just having that unit up there, protecting Aaron Rodgers and really making him comfortable throughout a good part of the game. No household names really available on that O-line. And the fact that they were able to average 4 yards a carry and only give up, like I said, 1 sack to that pretty good Niners defensive line. We always give credit to it. And I feel like the defense was absolutely, huge for the Packers. 4 sacks, 2 takeaways, and outside of a Trey Sermon 16-yard run, they're giving up 20 carries for 51 yards against a San Francisco team that loves to pound the football. These dudes run the football 50, 55, 60% of the time. We've seen it with San Francisco time and time again. But when we talk about the Niners overall, I feel like this is an underachieving team at the moment because, especially with their offense taking the entire first half in the last 2 games to score, their schedule hasn't been extreme. And when you talk about beating a couple bad teams and then now you're at home, and I'm not downing on you for losing to the Packers because they're a good team, but you're going to make people question you. You're going to make people pull that fool's gold card. You're going to make people wonder, okay, tight game, Jimmy G, we've already got doubts about you. And you're leaving, it might only be how many ever seconds on the clock, but this is Aaron Rodgers we're talking about engineering a game-winning drive. I mean, what a game for the Packers, and it showed you that Aaron Rodgers won't fold in a big game because that's what he's done lately. NFC Championship, didn't play great. Last NFC Championship before the Bucks, definitely didn't play great. So, yeah, it's week 3, but Aaron Rodgers was happy to get a potential monkey off of his back.
Yeah, I mean, a small monkey off his back.
Correct.
I mean, it was a good showing by A-Rod, but Jimmy G actually played a really good game, too. I mean, like, that thing went back and forth. For the second half, that was a straight-up brawl. I mean, he made a lot of big throws, the same as Aaron did. I mean, they took away some of his stats by putting Trey Lance in the game when he got into the red zone, so that makes his stats look lesser than what they should be because he didn't get touchdown passes. I mean, he very well could have ran that in because, you see, he's mobile. He's not nearly as fast as Trey Lance, but he could have ran that. It was wide open. We could have ran that touchdown.
Right.
They're just straight up robbing Jimmy of numbers.
And Jimmy's not happy about it either.
But it's like, man, you give Jimmy the ball. He drives the length of the field, puts the potential game-winning score in the end zone with 37 seconds left, and then the defense can't hold. It's like they lost, but that wasn't Jimmy's fault. I mean, they both battled. Jimmy did what he was supposed to do, and A-Rod did what his stature says that he's supposed to do. When people are putting you on the status, comparing you to the Bradys and the Mannings and everybody, they're expecting you to win that game, even with minimal time left on the clock and one timeout.
100%.
I mean, he did deliver, and it was on the road. I mean, that's definitely something we haven't seen out of him. That's why I did not pick them, because he doesn't do this on the road.
Yep.
I mean, that was a major win for A-Rod, but I don't fault San Francisco for the game. I think it was a well-fought game. I mean, there were a couple of untimely turnovers. I mean, we talk about the Jimmy G pick. Like, he threw an interception throwing the ball up top to Kittle, and it wasn't like it was an overthrow. Kittle got his hands on the ball, but he was double-teamed, and the safety just out-jumped him because running full speed deep down the field, Kittle's not that kind of athlete.
Right.
He's not going to be able to gather himself and jump to even use his size. It was an ill-advised throw, but it wasn't ridiculous. Like, we've seen so many egregious interceptions thrown all throughout the weekend. And I mean, we see it game in and game out from everybody. So, I mean, I'm not mad at what Jimmy did in that instance either. He was trying to press the issue.
Yeah. Now I got to ask you, Fees, before we move on, because I know you love Trey Sermon. So 49ers only ran the ball 21 times. They're leaning on a third-round running back in a very run-heavy, complex offense. What the hell is Shanahan thinking, you think?
I mean, he's running everybody. I mean, he's giving the ball to Ayuk. He's giving it to Debo. Everybody's getting rushes coming off the edge. So it's like you have no idea where that ball's going.
Right.
I mean, I think he might be kind of outsmarting himself.
Yeah, I think he is because, like I get it. We find gems all the time in the draft, but, like, the stats say a lot. 21 carries. Your confidence was clearly affected, and you were at home.
67 yards rushing on 21 attempts.
That's not San Francisco-like at all.
Aaron Jones outrushed them himself.
There you go. Lamar outrushed them himself, which we can say a lot of weeks. But, there's just not a lot of, like I said, when Shanahan runs the ball 50, 60% of the time, you're shortchanging yourself. You're trying to change your identity, and that's not you. And I think that's why at the end it was so close, because they could have won that game. They could have. But Packers jumped out, and they just played a better game overall.
But unlike what they usually do, he didn't do that. They ran the ball 33% of the time. It was a very un-Shanahan-like called game.
Right.
He put it in Jimmy's hand, and unlike what people think that Jimmy can't do, he dueled with Aaron Rodgers. He lost.
Showed you what he could do.
But he had a very good showing.
Right.
So I'm not mad at him at all in that game. So we move on to your boys, because you didn't pick them, but they did win.
Right. Well, look at me abandoning the charter. Mike on the mic, where you at? If you're in here, we about to talk about your
Los Angeles
bolts.
Chargers outlasted the Chiefs in one of the most disgusting games of the weekend. It was a good game because it was back and forth. They put up a lot of points. There were a lot of penalties and a lot of turnovers from a bunch of guys that you do not expect to see this from. So, I know your Chargers did get the W.
Yep.
But how good do you really think they are after this win?
Well, I'll just go ahead on record and say it now because, it showed on the tape, it showed on the numbers. This is now the second time that Justin Herbert has outplayed Patrick Mahomes. He definitely outplayed him in the second game. But if you talk about the first game, you're asking, and we all know the story about Herbert, you're asking a rookie with 5 minutes notice to come off the sideline and start a game against the Super Bowl champs, and you're going to lead them for a good portion of that game until Mahomes finds Tyreek Hill down the road, and then they win by a field goal in overtime. Now we have these Chargers here this season, new head coach like I raved about, healthy roster like I raved about. Mike Williams absolutely popped off. Austin Eckler didn't have a crazy game, but the fact that Justin Herbert, 4 touchdowns, mistake-free, and he was able to outplay Mahomes the second time around. And when you look at the fact that people are asking, is it time to worry about the Chiefs after back-to-back one-score losses, last in the division, 1-2 record? But you got to ask yourself at the same time, how have the Chiefs lost those games? And like you said before we got on here, they're turning it over in critical moments when they don't need to. Yeah, one of them might have been a fumble, but Mahomes still has a couple picks. One pick in the Ravens game in the third quarter, and another pick in this game against the Chargers to where there you go. But the crucial one later on.
And fourth quarter.
Right. Crucial one later on in the game that just really, when that pick happened, it's like, yeah, that's really, really dwindling their chances down to, take ahead in this game. And when you look at the fact that the Chargers defense, again, like I was speaking to, Patrick Mahomes was 1 for 14 under duress in this game. 6 yards, both of his interceptions came under pressure. So Brandon Staley is clearly showing the new life, the new energy he's breathing into this team. Dude coached the Rams last year, best defense in the league. Now he's, yes, a little risky. People say, head coaching for these Chargers, but I think it's paying off. Yeah, you're at a 2-1 record, but the fact that Herbert, again, finally gets that win over Mahomes. I wouldn't say that's a small monkey here. That's a significant monkey. You're talking about the king of your division, a guy who's here to stay. So, you'll see later on in the power rankings where I have these Chargers, but I think this was a big win for them, and they're clearly sitting nice in the division.
Yeah, the Chargers played a great game just as far as the way they schemed it. The game came down to the wire. Pat Mahomes did throw a pick with 1:42 left in the game while it was tied. So, we're not just going to act like Pat isn't unraveling in some way, shape, or form, because this isn't what we've seen out of him the past 3 seasons where he's gotten all of this well-deserved praise. He had 3 monster seasons, but now after 3 games, we're like, okay, you very well easily could have and should have lost to the Cleveland Browns for the second time consecutively.
Yep.
And then you did lose the next 2 games. The difference here, Cleveland tried to play you straight up because they actually felt like they had a defense that was good enough to stop you, and it just couldn't actually get it done.
Right.
Tyreek Hill's production is tailored off astronomically after the first game.
Yep.
Both Baltimore and the Chargers, we're doubling him. We'll give you Kelsey. You can't beat us with just him. This is a lot of teams have really taken a liking to the formula that the Bucs used in the Super Bowl. Be like, take Tyreek Hill out of this game, give him Kelsey, and you should have a chance if you can actually play well on offense. Because even doing that doesn't mean that you're going to stop them from putting up 25 to 30 points.
Mm-hmm.
But doing that says you're killing that big play potential so you can actually make this a more manageable game for your team. And now after not having him, what we're seeing is Pat Mahomes is turning the ball over.
Yep.
Between him and all the fumbles, it's like the team is I don't really know what's going on in Kansas City, but somebody's the panic meter is starting to move.
Yeah. Especially when you look at the defensive side of the ball. These guys are dead last in the league in defensive yards per game and points per game given up, second to last in the league in rushing yards per game defensively. So, you're looking at when they played the Patriots in the AFC Championship, 31st overall defense that year.
Yeah.
And it wore on them as the season went on, and when it got thick, Brady was like, I know this defense is porous. And it got sliced up, and Herbert was comfortable in this game, took great care of the ball, was very accurate. Mahomes was decently accurate, but not great. I think he's about 58% passing, completion percentage. But the 2 picks, that's horrible. The defense had 4 takeaways for the Chargers, and now you have the Chiefs sitting in -2 in the turnover margin. They're starting to unravel a little bit. Now, I'm not extremely worried. I'm not panicking yet because these Chiefs are uber talented, but it's definitely something to keep your eyes out for. Chargers are no slack.
Yeah, it's nothing to scoff at. It's like the Chiefs are supposed to be winning these games. You pretty much picked them to win every week.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a lot about the September record of Pat Mahomes, and he never lost a game in September, never thrown an interception. Now you lost back-to-back games and threw 3 interceptions in those two losses.
Yep.
And those interceptions were pivotal in the games. It's like, hey, it's something to watch. He very well easily could turn it around because they both were very close games, and they could have won both of those games, but they did not.
Right.
So, you can't get credit for what you didn't do. So we're definitely going to keep an eye out on that. Another crazy game this weekend. The Baltimore Ravens took out the Detroit Lions on a 66-yard record-breaking game-winning field goal from Justin Tucker. Mm-hmm. It took all that to beat Detroit.
Right. to save them from a 1-2 record.
What's going on with Baltimore?
Well, Baltimore struggled in this game because, again, they're asking Lamar to be the ultimate man, which he can do from time to time. But when the dude throws for 287, but he's also your leading rusher with 58 yards, that absolutely makes no sense. And, again, tell me why. Now, it was a better game here for Baltimore, 22 carries for 116 yards. But why are 15 of those carries getting split between 3 running backs for 56 yards? Lamar Jackson had the most carries out of everyone, had the most yards out of everyone. And yeah, he gave you points, but you saw him throughout the game get a little rattled. Like the Lions were starting to get some pressure, which kind of surprised me because the Ravens offensive line, like there's a reason they can run for 150 to 200 a game. You got to have your dudes up front to push you. And you know, Lamar didn't play terrible, but like you just said, with the Ravens kind of going through all this, it took a Justin Tucker 66-yard kind of field goal, you know, doubling in for them to get this W. And, you know, you escape the trap game. Yes, you absolutely do. But it shows you that the Lions have some fight in them. Absolutely. And you've kind of given the Goff and Stafford comparison, and Swift is doing things, and, you know, they're trying to have Cephas guy and Hawkinson over their ball out. But the Ravens just finally met a match this week, and, you know, it wasn't one that, of course, anybody was expecting. But when you look at how much they asked of Lamar Jackson, we see this with quarterbacks, Big Ben, Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson. When you become too dependent, things are going to happen, and you're going to break down eventually. You could win still, but we saw it happen. I heard that alarm, though. IG family, I know you with us tonight. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I'll count it down. 3, 2, 1. Kobe. R.I.P. to the Black Mamba. I know you watching the show with us tonight, brother.
Oh, every week.
Every
we got to pay
single week.
homage to the late, great Bean.
824.
Because he was absolutely a football fan. So he's watching.
Wouldn't this be something? Feast, tell me how you thought about this game, though, man. This was, I was like, wow. Like, 19-17 Ravens to the Lions, dude. Horrible.
Hey, I mean, the game just kind of spoke to what we both called last week. We called the Ravens to win the game, but both of us said that spread was way too big because you can't trust Baltimore. And Detroit is one of those teams that is really scrappy. I mean, they fought really hard in that game. When you watch, you see like Swift looks like a rejuvenated character. Who is Goff throwing the ball to exactly?
Right.
I mean, like, we can't name his wide receivers, but Goff is out there making it happen. They're not winning, but they look good.
Right.
I mean, he was poised out there against Baltimore, and he did everything he was supposed to do to win other than just close the game out. I mean, he got the ball back on the 18-yard line because Lamar threw a fourth-quarter interception, extremely untimely.
Right.
But there were 5:20 left in the game. Goff drove that team 60-plus yards to the 18-yard line for what should have been the game-winning field goal because they only left him a minute on the clock.
Correct.
I mean, nearly 4.5-minute drive for the go-ahead score, and then you get this nonsense. I mean, there were multiple crazy plays. Lamar throws a strike on 4th and 19 from inside his own 20 to cross midfield to then set up a 66-yard field goal to win the game?
Yep.
How unlikely is that? I mean, both of them.
Right.
The 4th and 19 play was ridiculous.
And Lamar throwing it 36 yards out of all people, Sammy Watkins. And again, Lamar Jackson in another week doing what people said he couldn't do. Big. That might have been one of the biggest throws of his career. Don't care if it was against the Lions. That was a huge play to set up a hell of a field goal. And I was shocked. I said, wow. Like, of course you got to go for it. 4th and 19. But he threw almost a 40-yard strike, like you said, from the 20 over midfield. Insane throw for Lamar, and I was highly impressed with it.
Yeah, and then Tucker bounced one off the crossbar.
Right.
It's like the ball rotation had to have been perfect for it to hit the bar and still go forward.
Yep.
I mean, that took a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, Baltimore got the win, but hats off to Detroit. I mean, they're scrapping it every week.
They won't beat any other team going 1 for 10 on 3rd down at Ravens.
Oh, no.
Definitely not.
Absolutely not.
Horrible.
Right. I mean, are we going to jump into these power rankings? Or do you want to hit these other two?
Let's do Bucks Rams and hit the power rankings. I know we ran a little bit over. We'll skip Dolphins Raiders, but we'll hit Bucks Rams real quick. So I got to tell people, man, with the Bucks Rams, Don't overreact to the game. Honestly, don't overreact to this game at the end of the day because it's blatantly clear why the Rams were able to win this football game. JPP was out. That's their first or second best pass rusher, no question. And let's also not act like the Bucs secondary is something to be afraid of. We saw them last year. It took them till really after the bye week, the last 3 to 4 weeks of the season. Yeah, they got it together at the right time, but we saw what Tyreek Hill did to them in the Chiefs-Bucs matchup. We saw what teams could do to them in plenty of matchups. Like, the secondary is not something that people are truly afraid of with this Buccaneers team. And, believe it or not, there's actually some talks about Richard Sherman going to the Bucs. They got mutual interest. Yeah. Not that he would be a great pickup because we saw what happened really last time he played in a Super Bowl. But, I mean, he could be a spark, veteran locker room presence. But when you talk about Tom Brady literally doing everything, this was his first loss with 400-plus yards and no picks. Brady was the leading rusher. He had a rushing touchdown. 400-plus yards on that type of defense.
He was the leading rusher with 14 yards.
Horrible.
It wasn't like he actually was running.
Right.
3 carries for 14 yards and a touchdown, and he led the team in rushing.
Horrible.
I mean, it was from all of what he did, it's like, hey, the dude was 41 of 55.
Right.
For 432 and a touchdown and a rushing touchdown. It's like, what else do you want to play? The defense is going to have to do a little bit of something.
Yeah.
They gave up 34 points. But, I mean, without JPP, it's like there's only one guy. So, I mean, you can't just completely blame it all on him.
Right.
But I think it was just a difference in the approach to the game from both teams.
Yeah, well, I think the Rams defense is straight up better than the Buccaneers. Brady looked frazzled all game. Stafford was comfortable as hell. Stafford had huge completions to Deshaun Jackson. Stafford's been throwing bombs, man.
I mean, D-Jack only caught 3 balls. It was just one really big one.
Yeah, but he got overshot another 2 times, which could have been huge. Could have been real. I know it wasn't complete, but still, that could have been big gains. And again, we're going to be talking more about that Bucs secondary.
Him getting overshot is not singing praises to Matt Stafford. D-Jack is fast. If you're overthrowing him, that's a problem.
Right. 100%. It's not a praise to anybody, but it's also going that he was open on the back end of that secondary. It'd be even worse when we were sitting here today if those 2 were complete. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, what I'm saying is that game meant more to the Rams than it did to the Bucs.
100%.
The Rams are trying to prove themselves. They were at home. Monster matchup. Stafford had a whole lot to prove. McVay against Brady. It's like the Rams wanted this game like it was a Super Bowl game.
Right.
The Bucs were like, it's week 3.
100%.
Like, let's try to look better than we did last week, build on this season and improve, and they lost one.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't really think that they're taking that game with more than a grain of salt, and it wasn't that deep because outside of some defensive woes, their offense still actually did a good bit of what they were supposed to do. So, I mean, I wouldn't be concerned at all if I was a Tampa fan.
Right.
And if I was a Rams fan, need to kind of tone it down just a little bit. That is not like you did not win a Super Bowl yesterday. It's week 3.
Don't take the cheese.
You beat the Bucs last year, and you didn't win the Super Bowl.
Correct.
Chill out just a little bit.
Yeah, Brady was surgical, super surgical in that game.
Yeah, man. So, man, speaking of these 2 teams, I know we both got them pretty high in these power rankings. Let's move into our first edition of the Petty Power Rankings.
My Lord.
We're going to give you the top 10 teams in the NFL after week 3. We'll start from 10 and move forward. So, Adam, who you got bringing in number 10 on your power rankings?
I literally just finished typing my list as you were bringing this segment in. So, based on the resiliency of this team and everything that they've been through, they're not supposed to be where they're at right now. Absolutely not. They've been on the road. They haven't played at home. Yes, I just gave it away. I'm talking about my New Orleans Saints. The resiliency of this team, the defense of this team being second in the league in turnovers, not having a true wide receiver presence. Alvin Kamara's hit and miss right now because you don't know what you're going to get from him. Offensive line is crumbling. Coordinators have been out with COVID. And the reason they lost so badly to the Panthers is they didn't have their primary defenders out there. The Saints are now going back home to feast on a Giants team. We saw what happened the last time the Saints got back into the dome. Not talking about the Super Bowl, but the energy, the revival of the city, the mantra of the team. I'm sticking with the New Orleans Saints at 10 because their resiliency earns them this spot in the top 10.
Absolutely not. They beat a Green Bay team where it looked like Aaron Rodgers just decided not to play.
One fantasy point, right?
Let me go ahead and just blow one so you guys can really see how much I mean to this game. Got destroyed by Carolina, and then you beat what we now see is a bad New England offense. So, I mean, they're 2-1. We're not trying to take away W's, but top 10, can't do it. At the 10 spot, I've got the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, they're 2-1. They lost a tight game to a Green Bay that seems like they're back in NFC Championship level form, and they had a lot to prove, but they still played a very resilient and tough game.
Right.
I mean, each week, San Francisco has came out and done what they were supposed to do. I know we look at the final score of the Detroit game and be like, it was only a one-score game. Detroit scored those points in the last minute and a half of the game. They were in the prevent. I mean, they were up 41-17. The score is not indicative of what they actually did in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, they handled Philly. They did shut that offense down. I mean, we did just watch what Dallas did to Philly last night, but San Francisco did it to them too as far as defensively. So, I mean, I think San Francisco's got a lot moving forward. At 2-1, they're still sitting in a great position. Defense is looking good. Jimmy's doing his thing. I'm giving them the 10 spot without a doubt. Who you got at 9?
Number 9, man. Go ahead and give me another NFC South team at the Carolina Panthers. Being 3-0, I mean, this is another defense that is absolutely popping right now. We see Matt Rule, go into a Baylor program, clean it up, and get them, looking great, and, really put out a Justin Herbert product. And you've got him here with Sam Darnold cleaning up the defense. And in the second year, now that he's able to work with a much more physical, a much more smarter, a much more overall just better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater was, let's call it how it is. Now, Bridgewater was good, but Darnold is clearly more talented. And the fact that he's got a line, the fact that he's got weapons, the fact that he looks confident, he's happy. He's extremely happy with his career in Carolina. And you can see that rippling throughout the locker room. And, like we've always said, it really matters where you land in the NFL. And I cannot count out the Carolina Panthers being a 3-0 team. I could see them being a divisional team at this point, which is really surprising, but hats off to him. Matt Rule's doing a hell of a job over there.
Okay, yeah, I'm not mad at that. I do have Carolina a little bit higher than that, but at 9, give me Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys offense has been looking great week to week. I mean, they had a hard-fought battle against the Chargers. They put up a lot of points against Tampa in a loss, and I know we all laughed about them, about that moral victory. But the way the offense has been clicking, I don't think there's very many defenses in the NFL that are going to be able to slow down the offense. It's just a matter of can they stop people. But they're legit. They're going to put up 25, 30 points pretty much every week. Right. So they just have too many weapons, and Dak's looking very comfortable. I mean, the Dallas hype train is ridiculous, but they are really good this year. Can't be mad at them.
Yeah.
Who you got at number 8?
Number 8, man, give me the Cleveland Browns. And the defense for the Browns this year has been underachieving compared to what we really expected them to do coming in. And they had a great week 1, being able to push the Chiefs around. They really should have won that football game. Mahomes did his thing, worked his magic. But when you talk about, Baker still adjusting to being that guy in Cleveland, because we still have to accept the fact that he only played a good, 7, 8, 9 games last year. Like, Baker Mayfield still has to be out here. He still has to prove it. And Kevin Stefanski's still doing a hell of a job with this team. You do want them to get healthier, though. You do want them to be able to be a consistently healthy team so they can compete with the Bills, with the Chiefs, with these teams down the road, because going 11-5 last year, you've got big expectations this year, and we all know about that. So give me Cleveland at number 8.
Okay, at number 8, I've got the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they got smacked around week 1, surprisingly, by Pittsburgh. Josh Allen looks like he was in some type of a regression. Week 2, they just straight up blanked the Miami Dolphins. Even though it wasn't a stellar performance from Josh Allen, the team showed up,
right,
and they all made it happen. I mean, to beat the team 35-0, you don't have to just have that's not just the quarterback. That was a collective effort and straight destruction. And then they came out against what we thought was a top defense in the league in the Washington football team and just completely obliterated them.
Yep.
What was it, 43-13? It was something
43-21.
Oh, they actually put up another score. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, still,
you changed it 42, didn't you?
It was on the same time as our game.
Yeah. He's like, I caught that.
No, I had some blinders about what happened there. But, yeah, I mean, the Buffalo Bills, they look like they've actually figured their life out. They're 2-1. I mean, what seemed like a rocky start at 2-1, it really wasn't. Like, that's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. They're first place in the NFC or in the AFC East. So the Bills are right on track to be where everyone expected them to be. Who you got at number 7?
Number 7, now do give me the Green Bay Packers. And inching out a close win over San Francisco, I do like to see that a lot. And I know week 1 was week 1, but you still have to take a look at week 1. I mean, 38-6 by New Orleans. And then, yeah, you're absolutely, taking Detroit out of the water. And then you've got a good win, like I also said, against San Francisco. But is this, is Aaron Rodgers going to be like he was in week 3? Is he going to be able to bend but not break? Is he still going to be able to be there for his locker room? Because we've seen Aaron Rodgers time and time again. When it gets thick, Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to be out in the game. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to have to put the team on his back. He gets in a little 14, 17-point deficit, and he feels like he checks out of the game. And a lot of people called me crazy at one point. No, how could Aaron Rodgers check out? Look at the tape. Don't let your eyes lie to you. So I like the Packers being here at number 7. I know some people are going to trip thinking they should be much higher, but when you're talking about true threat on both sides of the football, I've got other teams that could do that better than the Packers.
I mean, that's not a bad spot for them. I mean, at number 7, I've got the Carolina Panthers. They're sitting at 3-0. They have 3 pretty decent wins. I mean, the first game was against the Jets. So we didn't know what the Jets were going to be. It was some type of a little homecoming rivalry for Sam Darnold. They handled business. They've since then ran through the Saints. And then last week, I mean, the Carolina Panthers actually look like they're for real. I don't know how far they can go, but as we move into week 4, the Carolina Panthers are absolutely one of the top 10 teams in the league. Sam Darnold is looking very comfortable. Even without Christian McCaffrey, it wasn't him that was winning those games to start this season in the first place. They seem like they're a team that's actually starting to move in a direction where they're not dependent on a Christian McCaffrey, who personally I think they should move off of.
Whoa. Move off of CMC after one injury?
You know how many assets they can get for him with what this team is already?
Yeah. Now, as much as I still
too much on it.
Right. Now, as much as I still do disagree, unfortunately, you can't deny that running back is one of the most replaceable positions in the league because they come left and right. There's a reason you have 3 or 4 featured backs in a team. So I still don't think they'd move off. But the amount of assets that they could acquire, I can't argue with that 100%.
You can get draft picks and number 1 offensive players, whether it's another running back, a wide receiver, whatever position you can get, they can improve greatly moving off of CMC.
Yeah.
It's not to say that he's done or he shouldn't be like, I'm not hating on Christian McCaffrey at all.
Yeah.
But if Carolina moves on from Christian McCaffrey, they could greatly improve that team to where they can actually take a step into possibly being on contender status.
I could see like 4 first-round picks going across the board for CMC on the block.
If they picked up that much, then Carolina would be something to be worried about.
No, Wesley, we don't hate the Titans. Relax. We're going to get there. It's okay. No, they're not in the power rankings. You're not mine anyways.
Maybe
Don't want to spoil
it
it for you. Talk about the picks at the end, bro.
We're talking top 10, Wesley. Sit down somewhere.
Yeah, man. We're talking good top 10 NFL teams. Okay? Okay, cool. Just making sure we're on the same page. Proceed.
Right. At number 6, who you got?
Give me the Baltimore Ravens at number 6. And it feels good to be able to rank the Ravens this high confidently again because, I know you lose to the Raiders, but now we're talking about the number 1 offense in the NFL at this point. Derek Carr, 400-plus yards a game. Or averaging, excuse me. But, seeing that the defense is able to really come back together as a unit now. And Lamar has now, in 2 of his 3 games so far this year, showed us that he can take on a big moment. He can defy himself in those moments that he was extremely falling short in because when you had him time and time again, even put up massive numbers, but they're not attributing to points and they're not truly building the culture and the championship caliber of this team. I feel that from the Ravens this year. And like I just said, Lamar's 4th and 19 throw, absolutely huge. Lamar, you want to go for this? Hell yeah. That is the type of stuff I'm talking about that really amps the team up. And I'm going to be looking for the Ravens later on this year. I was really excited about them year before last. Last year, they felt really underwhelming, but now I think they're truly understanding that. And they're having more confidence in Lamar, as well as Lamar being more confident in himself. So you definitely give me Baltimore at number 6 here.
Okay. I mean, I don't have Baltimore in my top 10. But at number 6, I'm going to give you the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers looks like he's really set in, and if he's going to actually start playing like that on the road, then we'll have to revisit the entire conversation of how far Green Bay can go. They've been historically a terrible road team since Aaron Rodgers has been there. That was one of his best road performances we've seen. There was a great late game comeback, set him up for the field goal. It's been nothing but hats off that first game. Now it's looking way more like an anomaly than what we should be looking for out of Aaron Rodgers because that was concerning. But after the Detroit game, we came back in the second half and just completely ran the score up. And now this performance against the 49ers, it looks like Green Bay is settled in and we're getting what we expected out of Green Bay again.
Yep.
Who you got at 5?
Number 5, I'm ready to piss you off, Fee. So I'm going to put the LA Chargers at number 5 here. And when you look at the schedule, when you look at the schedule that they've had, being able to eke out a win against, at the time, and I still think Washington's a good defense. They're cracking a little bit, but coming into week 1, they looked like a great defense, especially ending from the last year. They had pickups, and you see how they're able to eke out the win over the football team. Now, you do lose a close one. What's your face for? You look very confused here. Is it because the Chargers are at 5? Are you trying to let me process that to you?
It's both. The football team only beat the Giants. They're not that good.
I'm talking about with week 1 and stemming from the defense, the defensive presence they had last year. Like I also said, they are breaking this year. So they're not the football team they used to be. But coming into week 1, they were a defense to be feared in this season. And I know you lose to the Cowboys in week 2, try to claw back into that game.
And we just jumped off the Chiefs.
Yeah. And then there you go. Now we're on the Chiefs. Now that they've beat the Chiefs, now Herbert's having a big game. This team is coming together. I told you that this defense was going to come together before the season started. I told you that Justin Herbert was going to be a top quarterback in this league, and he was flawless against the Chiefs.
Are the Chiefs
He's looked
in your
great
top 10?
this year. No, they're not. Chiefs are not in my top 10.
So nobody
the Chiefs are just
beat
outside of
in
it.
your top 10.
They're still playing good teams. They're still playing effective teams that are challenging them, and they're winning those games. You just put the Cowboys in your top 10. Cowboys are actually my number 11. You're right. They beat them close.
And I put them at 9.
And they clawed back after the Cowboys going up 14-0 like we discussed last week. Correct. But the Cowboys also really stunk that game up after the fourth quarter. And the tape and the numbers show you that. They could easily be a 3-0 team. I love my Chargers at 5. There you go, Mike on the mic.
I thought you were a Saints fan.
I am.
My Chargers. Get out of here.
They're my Chargers when I'm talking to you, buddy.
At number 5, I've got the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are looking very good this season. Their one loss coming to who we thought was going to be the juggernaut Kansas City Chiefs in a very close battle. They just completely annihilated the Chicago Bears in Justin Fields' debut. We're going to talk about that game later. But my God, I mean, they came out with just a ridiculous 9-sack performance. I mean, the defense is looking good. Baker is consistent. I mean, no one expects Baker to just come out and blow the league away. He's not going to be an MVP candidate. This is a running team with a quarterback that's formidable and a very good defense. So I think that 2-1, the Cleveland Browns, they're sitting really strong right now. I got them in my 5th spot.
Right on that.
Who you got at 4?
Number 4 will be the Las Vegas Raiders, and this team is absolutely lighting the league up right now. Number 1 offense in the NFL. Yes, they are 3-0, and when you talk about Derek Carr really taking that step for his team and really bringing that locker room around him, because we saw the 9-0 season, and we also saw how the Raiders were really streaking, and then once he broke the leg, he's never been the same player again. And, you know, we've seen little spurts of this from Derek Carr from time to time, but when we're talking about a string of games, I feel like this is something new that Carr is bringing to the table. You're now trying to, inch him into this MVP conversation, and you're looking at this multiple backfield that he's working with, and you're trying to incorporate a Henry Ruggs and trying to make your line better, but the defense is still doing their damnedest to lose these games. And I know that the offense is going to slow down eventually because you still have Gruden running it, who isn't a bad coach, but I'm not an advocate for the guy, as we've talked about before, but I do have the Raiders here at number 4 on my list.
Right, at number 4, I've got the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, they're very surprising to me. I didn't really have faith in them. Kyler Murray is playing an outstanding season to start off with. I mean, they've got big wins. I mean, they beat Tennessee. They beat a surprisingly strong Minnesota team. And, I mean, last week was a slight hiccup against Jacksonville, but they still handled business. It's not like they lost the game.
Right.
They just weren't as impressive as what we thought they should have been. But at the end of the day, what you're supposed to do is not lose to teams that you're supposed to beat. And they didn't do that. I mean, I think the Arizona Cardinals moving forward, they're a very dangerous offense. The way Kyler is playing with all the weapons that he's got, if the defense can continue to at least make strides, I think the Cardinals are actually going to be a problem.
They haven't played anybody, man. I can't put them in my top 10.
I mean, Tennessee is decent.
But Tennessee's like simpletons now.
Tennessee's
bro. They're
decent,
not gonna be
and Minnesota is decent.
Minnesota's going to win like 7 games this year.
But they actually beat those teams as opposed to the team that you got at 5 that you're getting credit for them losing. But who you got at 3?
Number 3, man, the Buffalo Bills. They finally found themselves, and the reason I was able to put them this high is because when you go and drop a 40-plus bomb on a Washington team, and Josh Allen finally gets back to his old self because he was looking rough. This dude was averaging like barely over 200 yards, 55% completion through the first 2 weeks of the year. And the offense was horrible. Believe it or not, walking in to this game, they were the second worst rated offense yards per game next to the Jaguars. That's how bad the Bills offense was struggling. Now, yes, it was only through 2 weeks. When we talk about a Diggs, a Sanders, a Beasley, you're trying to bring in, you're trying to build Knox as a tight end. You've got some running backs back there, and that's what they wanted to pick up with this team. But the Bills, they're going to click back to what they were. They're still this high-flying offense, and their defense is finally coming around. They're trying to establish the pass rush, and I really expect Josh Allen, McDermott, Daboll to stay on this high-clicking trend that they just showed us for Washington, and 35-0 against the Dolphins. Yeah, 2 went down, but nothing. No points for the Dolphins. That's huge from the Bills, so definitely give them to me at number 3.
At number 3, I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're sitting at 2-1. They lost this battle to the Rams just this past weekend. They won a shootout against the Dallas Cowboys, who we now learned that they're actually a really good football team this season, well, definitely on offense. And then they basically just ran through the Falcons. It was a strange football game, but what we are seeing out of Tampa, it's extremely difficult to stop them. They're averaging well over 30 points per game. Brady is he's putting up numbers better than what he's done at any other point in his career at this moment. He's right behind Derek Carr in passing yards at this point, isn't he?
Who's that? I'm sorry?
Brady.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Brady's first in the league in touchdowns, and I want to say 2 or 3 in yards. Brady's absolutely lining up this year.
He has to be at least second, if not third, in passing yards. He's got to be right behind Derek Carr. But, these boys, they've been looking good. They were coming off the Super Bowl. They had some additions. JPP is out right now, but I don't really think that that's any cause for concern. Antonio Brown was out of that game as well because he caught COVID. I think they won't really have any hiccups moving forward. Their remaining schedule is so paper cottonelle soft. They might not lose any more games. There's no one else that they play this season that is actually going to give them anywhere near as much of a challenge as the Rams did.
Yeah.
They could very well easily go 16-1 after this week 3 loss.
They got that Scott's Downey lifestyle schedule afterwards. I'm telling you, Brady's throwing for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns this year. He'll be the third ever to do it, and it'll just continue to add to his legacy.
Yeah, and at 16-1, he'll get another MVP.
Ridiculous. Go win another Super Bowl. That still have them repeating.
So who you got at number 2?
Now, number 2, I will put the Bucs, and that obviously leaves the case for number 1. But the Buccaneers, we've talked about them time and time again. They're fine. They were missing some key players. They still played a hell of a game against the Rams. Now, the Rams were able to kind of salt that game away after the half, had some big plays, and I never truly felt like Tampa was in that game after halftime. Brady's looking great. They're trying to establish a run game. Matter of fact, they're trying to establish some sort of run game, a run game in general, because they have no presence. And, Brady, yes, we know he's 44, and we know he is very gifted, and we know that he's extremely intelligent, but he's not going to be a guy to carry your team. Him throwing over 50 times was a shock to me. Now, we know Brady can do it, but I'm sure he wasn't happy about that as well, especially when you throw for over 400, like I mentioned, no picks. It's your first loss playing that well against that defense, against that secondary. So definitely got the Bucs at number 2.
Okay, at number 2, I've got the Las Vegas Raiders. Surprisingly enough, I wasn't sold on them. I didn't think that they were actually this good because I didn't really have that kind of faith in Derek Carr. Derek Carr is having a season much like he did when he was on pace to win MVP. And unlike the Carson Wentz crew that still gives him credit for that one season, Derek Carr has finally made his way back to that status.
Yep.
And it's big up to the Raiders for sticking with him because there was plenty of time in between times man, y'all got to get off of him.
Right.
But they had faith in him. He's now looking like who they thought he was and returned to that form. The Raiders are looking like a really good football team because they're actually winning very resilient games. It's not like they're just playing bad teams and he's feasting on them. They're getting down and he's coming back. He's still sticking to the game plan. He's making great throws. He's leading the league in passing. The Raiders' offense is it's never to be stopped. You can't ever take a step back and be like, all right, we got this.
Right.
At any point in time of the game, they're liable to drive down that field and come back on you, and they've, to this point, been doing it.
Yep. Very tough to stop. Ruggs going to play a huge part in that offense this year. Major part.
Yeah, like
He'll grow over the weeks.
He's that speed threat. Just like what a Tyreek Hill is to Pat Mahomes. Even though, I mean, we're not comparing Ruggs to Tyreek Hill, but Ruggs does have that kind of speed.
Yeah, he does.
So just the speed alone means he's getting attention.
Yep.
And leaving other people open.
Yep.
That's all you need.
He commands it 100%.
You ain't got to throw it to him.
Right.
You just need to take people with it.
Exactly. He just got to run in a certain way for you to get that pass across the field.
So it looks like we have the same team at number 1. So let's hear it.
Yeah, man. And, I've said it the whole season. I don't know what to think about Stafford, but and like I also just said earlier in the show, I'm not going to be like this. My eyes aren't lying to me. The Rams are the best offense in the NFL right now, and there's no question about that. They lead the league in big plays. They lead the league in plays of over 50-plus yards, and nobody is secondly close to them. Yes, better than the Chiefs. Yes, better than the Bucs. Yes, better than the Seahawks. Yes, better than the Bills. Absolutely. They are absolutely taking the league by storm. And I know it's only through 3 weeks, but when we truly talk about who has looked the best week in and week out, it's been the Rams. Now, I still don't know. I was talking with my boss earlier today. Is Stafford going to be that dude that can hang when it gets thick? Because that game never got thick for the Rams. Stafford was comfortable the whole time. I mean, Deshaun Jackson came back to life in this game. Cooper Kupp, again, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee. If they could get a running back core, they would, without question, be the best team in the NFL. And it does pain me a little bit to sit up here and say that, but they did just beat the Bucs, and they beat the Bucs handily. And I know there was injuries, but hey, they both walked out there, knew what was on his slate. Brady could have won that football game. We both said it, but at the end of the day, the Rams are just the better team right now, and I can't sit here in front like anybody else is better than the Los Angeles Rams at this point in the NFL.
Oh, I mean, I can't disagree with it. I also have the Los Angeles Rams as the best team in the NFL through 3 weeks. I mean, they beat the Bucs, who we previously had given that status. They also, they've got wins over the Colts and the Bears, neither of which are actually very, very good football teams at this point. Are there 0-6 between the two of them?
Colts and Bears, 1-5.
So 1-5.
Bears beat the Bengals week before when Justin Fields came in for Dalton.
Okay, yeah, 1-5 between the two of them. So I mean, those wins don't mean as much as what they seemed. I mean, the first week of the season, we thought the Bears actually were decent, in which they absolutely are not. But at this point, the Rams have proven that they are the number 1 team in the league right now. The only issue I would have with the Rams is saying that they may have they've peaked too fast. They've gotten to where they've gotten. Now, the battle is for them to not get complacent. Can you keep evolving? Everybody's going to look at what you're doing, and they're going to start adjusting to you. And you play in the toughest division in football. You've got the Cardinals this week. Teams are going to start playing you different, and at that point, we'll then see if Stafford's going to be able to continue to play the way he's been playing, which I don't think he will, but they're the top team in the league right now.
Yep.
Can't take that from them.
Cannot at all. Can't do it.
All right, so those are our petty power rankings
for NFL week 4. Through week 3, for week 4, excuse me. Crossing over each other here. Right, 100%.
So, man, y'all jump in the comments. Let us know what y'all think. I see a few of y'all have real issues with it. Like, y'all don't feel like the Raiders are that good. I mean, the Raiders are absolutely better than the Titans, so I need for you to just simmer down. That just doesn't even make any sense. You didn't really think the Titans were going to make our top 10. Like, they're 2-1. They're not that good. There are quite a few teams that got left out. You know who else didn't make the top 10? The Denver Broncos. They're 3-0, and we didn't put them in the top 10 because they ain't played nobody.
They have played arguably the 3 worst teams, 3 of the 4 or 5 worst teams in the NFL at this point. I mean, yeah, they look good on tape because they're playing trash. Like, people are like, oh, they look so good. Yeah, but what are they playing? There's no body of work for them to truly compare them to.
No.
At all.
Like, I'll believe Denver when I see it. But, I mean, at this point, they're not far off the top 10, but they just couldn't make the top 10.
Right. All right, Fees, I see we're bumping up against the hour a little bit, so I think we can go. You want to do petty player real quick, hit the break. Justin Fields definitely deserves a little time, and then we'll roll through Fast 5 weekend watching picks.
Oh, absolutely.
Sounds good to you? Cool, man. So I'll let you go first. You let me go first last week. Who do you have? Are you going petty, or are you going for real this week for the petty player of the week?
I'm actually going to go for real this week. And it's going to be a kicker for me. Justin Tucker, a 66-yard field goal. I mean, that was the most ridiculous kick I've ever seen. I mean, the 66 yards is outlandish. I mean, I know they make these kind of kicks in practice.
Right.
In empty stadiums with no pressure on them. A 66-yard field goal as time expired with a game on the line, and then it hit the crossbar. It's like my hats are off. Like, that kick was ridiculous. I just knew Detroit had won that game. I still can't believe that he made that kick. We may not ever see another kick that long.
Yep.
At one point, we used to think that Sebastian Janikowski could do that, but he never did it.
Right.
Justin Tucker, 180-pound dude, don't know how you mustered up the strength to kick the ball that far. It's still mind-blowing.
He had to have. I didn't look like, I usually go back and look at like actual pictures, of the moment, and I wonder if he actually kind of like came off the ground, elevate. He had to have put every bit of leg into that. It was 3 yards longer than the longest NFL field goal of all time. So, yeah, absolutely hats off to Justin Tucker. Now, it's funny you mentioned a kicker because I'm going to bring up a guy that was on the other side of a kicker. Give me Jamal Agnew, 100% from the Jaguars. Kick 6 in the NFL. This was great. I mean, I felt like I was watching the Iron Bowl again. Jaguars are going to win the football game. They didn't win the football game, of course, but running it back 100. I know, right? I still can't. Man, I remember I left my friend's house and I was like, okay, they've got it in the bag. I was like, there was 1 second left. I remember checking the update on my phone. I get to my friend's house like 3 minutes later. All hell's broken loose. I mean, it was absolutely insane. But, the same thing for this kick 6 from Jamal Agnew. Longest touchdown in NFL history. And what a way to just actually be confident enough to put a guy back there. First of all, did the Cardinals really think a 68-yarder was going to go down with their kicker they knew that they had? Was this guy really able to kick this far? And I get it. Confidence in your guy, 100%. But I was like, dude, you're realistically probably kicking 70 yards. Like, let's just call it how it is. 68, 70. Let's call it how it is. And we saw Justin Tucker, with the help of a goalpost, kick a 66-yarder. So got to give it to Jamal Agnew, though. He was definitely a stud this past Sunday. And right as it had happened, and, the Cardinals were down at the half, I was like, geez, man. I was like, is this going to be another one of those Sundays? Because just week 1, week 2, week 3, week after week after week, this NFL season is just spicing up for us. And I'm super happy for it, man. I can't wait. Can't wait. But I know we're about a minute away here from the top of the hour. I think we'll go ahead and hit the break, though. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Hour 2 of Petty Sports, the podcast. Adam Lewis here on the show, of course, with my boy, Famous Facts Fees. Man, we got so much to get into in the hour. Holler at them before we get into the show, man. Second hour.
Oh, yes, sir. Y'all already know what time it is. It's your boy Fax Fees in the house. I got a whole lot of more heat for you. I see some crazy comments going on. We're going to cover this game, the Pats and the Bucks. I got a lot to say about it. So most definitely keep it locked on this thing for it. We're going to give y'all the picks for this week. We got a whole lot more coming.
100%. And don't forget, subscribe. Y'all doing great in the chat tonight. I think we got like 10 overall live with us on Facebook. Super appreciate the crew. I'm sorry about no phones tonight. We should be good to go next week, but appreciate y'all every Tuesday, every other Wednesday. We kind of alternate a little bit. And the question is not, where is Petty Sports? The question is, where do you consume your content? Where do you listen to your shows? Where are you trying to lock in to the sports world? You got to be with Petty Sports. Fees, let's go ahead and hit Hour 2. And we'll go off the top here with Justin Fields. Made his NFL debut against the Chicago Bears against the Cleveland Browns. And, God, it was awful. I told you it was going to be ugly last week, but, Jesus, I didn't expect it to be that ugly. The burning question right now is Nagy showing that he's basically a bust as a head coach?
I don't know that I could actually go that far. What I saw from this game is that Nagy might have been onto something with not starting Justin Fields, like what we've all been all over him about since the season started and even in the preseason when he told us that Andy Dalton was the starter, and we called him every kind of idiot that ever lived. This first start for Justin Fields with 1 net passing yard for the entire game kind of says that he knew what he was doing. He's not ready. He's a top prospect for sure. And I think he's still got a lot of promise. But when you throw for 68 yards in an entire football game and you get sacked for 67 yards and net 1 passing yard, there's a problem here. You can't blame all of that on Matt Nagy. The offensive line was terrible. The backs and tight ends didn't pick up a single blitz. Nothing worked.
Yeah.
But even as bad as that game was, through the first half, they were still in the game.
Yeah.
It started to unravel in the second quarter, but the score didn't show it. Justin Fields just started getting murdered in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Now, Matt Nagy didn't make any adjustments. I don't know what he could have done to make the entire team fix it.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like Justin was holding the ball too long. He was snapping the ball and getting popped.
Mm-hmm.
Like the same way he did in the preseason against Buffalo when he got his helmet knocked off. He got hit like that 3-4 times in this game.
Yeah, he did. Drugged to the ground by Garrett and Clowney and just all the dudes out there on that defensive line. Now, looking at this game, I just got to say straight up, and we know this isn't the case, but Justin Fields looked awful. He looked like a bust. He looked pedestrian. The dude couldn't even make routine throws. He was sailing them by 5, 6, 7 yards over guys' heads, throwing at their feet, just super inaccurate. And, yeah, he had a couple throws to an Allen Robinson and a Darnell Mooney and a little bit of a connection there with Cole Kmet. But when you have one net passing yard, when you have 48 yards of offense the whole game? Like this is absolutely unheard of. And I know you spoke to the testament of maybe Matt Nagy knew what he was doing by not starting Fields. But I'll challenge you there, Fees. He did not set that man up for success whatsoever. And I know Dalton's out. And I made the joke last week of, if anybody else on that depth chart started besides Justin Fields, then, Soldier Field would have been burning. But if Matt Nagy truly knew that Fields wasn't ready, then why did he put him out there? If this was going to be the product the whole time, why did he put them out there? Why did he let him get sacked 9 times? And also, something I noticed from Fields, a couple of those sacks were self-induced. He was holding the ball a little too long, just on about 2 or 3 of those sacks. And I said, Fields got to get that ball out. He's not feeling his pressure. He's not able to move. And this was something that you saw it time and time again in the game to where he wasn't comfortable. He looked awful, absolutely awful. And when you talk about, so let's take a look at how it was with Trubisky, rather, because you've had, so many saviors potentially trying to have him in the NFL for the quarterback position with the Chicago Bears. So when you have Andy Dalton and you have Mitch Trubisky dropping back and getting hurt, but then when you start to move them around, use their athletic ability and really make them work for you, then it starts working well. There were no design plays for Justin to move out of the pocket efficiently. There were no design plays for Justin to really be able to use his athletic ability to his advantage. And that's why I look at Matt Nagy. That's why I look at time and time again how he hasn't adjusted. And I know the Bears fan base is pissed about it. I'm pissed about it because Justin Fields is my favorite player coming into the draft. And to see him play like that was absolutely pitiful. I can't believe the performance that he just put on there on Sunday. And Nagy did not set that man up for success at all. I know that the Bears don't have the greatest O-line and they're going through some things right now, but Jesus Christ, he looked like a bust. He looked like a bust, and the Bears looked dumb for picking him on that Sunday game. Not from here on out, but on that Sunday game, I was pissed about the way Justin Fields looked, and it was horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah, I mean, on Sunday, Justin Fields looked like he's no more ready to play than Trey Lance.
Trey Lance has looked better in 7 NFL snaps than Justin Fields has looked in 40. Jesus Christ.
We would have expected Trey to look like that because of the amount of time that he's been out, and they didn't draft him to play immediately.
Right.
Justin was supposed to be able to walk right in the door and do his thing. But what we had been repeatedly pointing out time and time again is that all of Justin Fields' snaps in the preseason were against the 2nd, 3rd, 4th stringers. And it was in garbage time. He didn't get any time against the starters. But I think he threw him out there because Andy Dalton was hurt. He didn't have any intentions of starting him. This is why he's saying all 3 quarterbacks are in play this week between him, Dalton, and Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Which, if he's just trying to catch a W this week, he should start Nick Foles.
100%. If you're talking about a guy that's going to be out there with IQ, hangs in the pocket, he's seen it before. I'm not even going to talk about the Super Bowl win. He's seen it before. Nick Foles has been through this league, started for the Eagles, with the Bears, a little bit with – it's crazy to think that he's with the Jags at one point. Yeah. Did he have a little stop with the Broncos? I mean, geez, man. But I was really upset to see that Fields truly went out like that. But let's go ahead and get into some more of these NFL games. We always have great games outside of the top 5 that we go over. It's going to be a little Fast 5 blowout edition. Had a lot of blowout games this week, which we're kind of surprising. We only have 3 games on the slate before we get into the weekend watching our picks for the week. But let's start up top with the Buffalo Bills absolutely decimating the Washington football team. Is this how the Bills are going to look for about 90% of the season from here on out? Do you think this is truly what they're going to return to? Maybe not 43, but this high-flying offense?
I don't know. I mean, I'm still a little skeptical because I don't think Washington is nearly as good as what we gave them credit for initially.
Yeah, coming in.
The Miami Dolphins are definitely not a good football team. So it's like they showed up against 2 bad teams. I'm going to reserve Buffalo is all the way back until I see them actually play against somebody. because they look really bad against Pittsburgh, and we've also learned that their defense is nowhere near as good as we thought. So it's like it's promising for Buffalo fans, but at the same time, I'm not ready to just completely turn it over to say, okay, yeah, Josh Allen is going to be an MVP candidate this year. I got to see him do it against a real football team.
Right. And that's funny you say, speaking of MVP candidate, because Josh Allen must have heard me last week. I mean, coming out with 378, 74% completion, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, no turnovers at all. And just being able to get this Bills teams and, their energy back, the fan base back positive, because we were worried. I was like, what is truly going on with Josh Allen? Like I said, the dude was going for 225 a game and 55% completion through the first 2 weeks. And the offense looked bad. The defense was trying to do their part, but the offense gave them absolutely no help. You finally see Emmanuel Sanders coming through with the big game, couple touchdowns here. Cole Beasley with another almost 100 yards. And believe it or not, Stephon Diggs actually had the least receiving yards out of those 3 guys that I just named. But that is one thing that I like about Diggs. And, it worried me a little bit when I knew that they were going to be bringing more guys around the Bills, because we've seen Diggs, potentially have those little problems in Minnesota. And was he a diva? Was he begging too much? Kind of, the comparisons to the OBJ situation. But I know Diggs is better than that, and I think he really showed that in this game. Let's move on to the next one here, though, and you don't have to talk about it if you don't want, Feast, but we saw the Saints blow out the Patriots. I'm not going to gloat, man. I don't think the Saints are Super Bowl contenders. I still root for my team. Maybe we could be a divisional, but, is it time for Belichick to maybe change up already what's going on with Matt? Because, he's looking rough with the offense. And we knew this was going to be potentially a thing, but what do you think has to change for New England from here on out?
Just to keep it all the way funky, we need to call Cam back. This is disgusting. Mac Jones threw the ball 51 times for 271 yards and 3 interceptions. And not just 3 interceptions. He threw a pick 6. Like, he's making the defense, like they're working so hard to try to overcome his shortcomings.
Yep.
He will not throw the ball more than 3 yards up the field. It's just a check down every time. We either hand the ball off or he throws the ball 2 to 3 yards and then they punt and expect the defense to completely just overhaul and win the game. If they're asking entirely too much out of the defense, the offense is beyond vanilla, but the play calling is bad too, and even the use of personnel. Yep. Why the hell did you put Brandon Bolden in the game to try to get a 3rd and short? Is that not what you got Ramondre Stevenson for?
Right. Is he being used efficiently?
No, not at all.
Yeah. And he was booming in preseason. Like, he definitely earned a roster spot in preseason.
Mac Jones led the team in carries and rushing.
Sounds like Belichick was looking at Brady.
I can't even. Ramondre didn't play.
Right. And that's
I don't even know what this is about. Like,
right.
J.J. Taylor got carries. Ramondre didn't play. James White got hurt. It was a bad game. Like, they got completely embarrassed at home.
Yeah.
And now you got Tampa next week. Like, this thing isn't looking good.
Yeah. Well, is that fast forward to week 5? We said, would that be a potential thing?
We're on to the Houston Texans.
we're on to the Texans. So, of course, big game from the Saints here. I was super happy to see them pull this win out. But like I've said, time and time, and the Saints are going to go as far as the defense takes them. And when you look at what the defense did in this game, we learned about the 3 interceptions. We learned about the 3 picks, but 2 sacks, 6 tackles for a loss, 11 quarterback hits, 8 passes actually defended. And then you look at Mac Jones was just really trying to get comfortable in this game. And when you have the Patriots literally, like you said, cutting up his food, spoon feeding it to, penguin feeding this kid. They are literally making it so cookie cutter for Mac Jones. And I know you have to basically coddle him in a really tough division, but you also have to let that kid get his feet underneath him, let him get some confidence underneath his belt. Because again, I don't know why you're throwing for 50-plus times. You're asking a rookie to throw against at least what I think most people in the league would agree is a top 15 defense with the New Orleans Saints when they're healthy. We know they can rush the passer. They've improved their secondary over the years. They've lost some linebackers, but they still got DeMario Davis and Lattimore, as the captains of that team. But you got to ask yourself, what was going on really with Josh McDaniels' play calling on some of these high, the very few drives that New England felt like they were going to get some space going. It felt like the play calling just got so lackluster. Like, we're not caring about the urgency. We're not caring about the situation. And when you nod your head over there, it's like you are perfectly seeing this on the tape. Again, your eyes are not lying to you with the New England Patriots. And, as a fan and as a dude and me who was really high on the Patriots, where the hell is all this money that they just spent producing for them? I mean, you've got 37.4 on Hunter Henry, 50 on Jonnu, 24 on Nelson Aguilar. And at the end of the day, Kendrick Bourne is the guy pulling up the rear, 6 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Out of everybody, Kendrick Bourne is the only one producing. That's tough, man. And I'm not going to sit here and extremely panic about the New England Patriots sitting at this record, because I do think they could break a 500 team. Mac Jones could get comfortable. We don't know what can happen. We know what Belichick does, right? But the Saints definitely made a statement. Resilient win, and they're going to head back home to the Dome for sure. And we'll see what the Patriots have coming into Foxborough next week, man. It's going to be interesting. But last game here before we jump into our weekend watch, we talk about the best games of the weekend. Bengals blow out the Steelers. Great call, Fees. 100% got to give it to you. You called it, and it was really 24-3. They wiped the floor with the Steelers. Is it truly time for the Steelers to consider a quarterback change, even if it's in the middle of the season?
Yeah, I mean, they might as well just go with Mason Rudolph. Big Ben is done.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you can see it. He got beat up in that game against the Raiders. He got embarrassed against Cincinnati. Cincinnati beat them last year without their starters. They had their full complement of skill players, and it showed.
Right.
Like, the Cincinnati Bengals are actually a better football team than the Pittsburgh Steelers right now.
Yep.
And that is crazy for you to actually say that when they're toting out a second-year quarterback with a rookie wide receiver as his right-hand man and Joe Mixon. But they're absolutely better. I mean, I saw it coming from 10 miles away. I had zero faith in Pittsburgh to win this game.
Yeah. And you got to ask yourself, what did the Steelers really do right in this game? Not a damn thing, really. I mean, at one point, I thought they were really going to ask Najee Harris to quarterback and run a trick play at one point. Dude was the leading rusher, I think, with less than 60 yards on the ground. Had over, right, there you go. Had over 100 yards receiving, not, extremely over 100 yards, but he was still out there catching balls and trying to put up yards and points for this team. But the fact that he was the leading receiver and the leading rusher, and I know, Jamila, you're about to hop in, and all the Steelers fans that are going to, catch this video here, but Big Ben was 318 yards and a touchdown, but he was also 2 interceptions against, let's not sugarcoat it, the Bengals defense is not good. Maybe they're decent on their best day, but they're decent on their best day. Okay, they're not going to be a defense that's going to really stop these prolific offenses to really give them a chance, in the NFL like it is today. Of course, they've got some work to do, but I feel like the Steelers are really holding on to Ben being able to play like a Brady, like a Manning, like a Rodgers. Like Drew Brees barely did it. Drew Brees had 2 pretty rough injuries in his career. Yeah, the thumb wasn't bad, but dude couldn't throw a football. He couldn't play. Drew Brees played with a punctured lung.
Yeah, he was throwing a javelin.
Right. I mean, Brittany, Drew Brees' wife, admitted everything that he was going through outside of the injuries we knew about. So imagine, because Ben has admitted he doesn't really work out in the offseason. He's admitted that he doesn't really consume tape like that, and it definitely shows on the field. So, I mean, and I understand, Mike Tomlin, you're a great coach. You've never had a losing season. But when you're asking your clearly mediocre quarterback to throw almost 60 times in a football game, how do you expect that to be a recipe for success? And now you're allowing Joe Burrow, who's not a bad quarterback. That's a second-year dude. I mean, he's torching the Steelers defense. Did TJ Watt play? I'm not sure. Did he?
Did he? I don't know.
I know he went out in a previous game. Either way, though, it was just it was not good for the Steelers. And one thing I do want to say is, Joe Burrow all of last year was 2 for 19 on go routes to any of his receivers. He's already got 3 this year, all to Jamar Chase, all for 30, 40, 50 yards. And I mean, they're growing that connection. They're getting that, rekindling from LSU. So I'm happy for the Bengals, but Steelers fans, y'all are definitely in for a tough one for sure. But
just take this one in. 77 total plays to 42, and you only scored 10 points. How the hell do you get blown out when you had almost twice as many offensive plays as your opponent?
Oh, my God.
21 first downs to 12.
Steelers to Bengals?
Steelers had 21 first downs on 77 plays and got beat 24-10. You had the ball the whole game. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing for you to look forward to. The time of possession, 35-25.
Lopsided.
You had the ball 10 minutes more.
Yep. That shows you that the offense was literally like Scooby-Dooing in place. They were sputtering wheels. They were absolutely going nowhere. Yeah, it's going to, I see the Steelers really holding on to Ben for a lot longer than they need to. And I've already said it, and a lot of people think I'm crazy. I think the Saints held themselves back by going with Breeze for the last couple years. I know what he's done for the city. The Saints wouldn't have went with anybody else. I probably would have been mad if they wouldn't have went with anybody else. But when you see the product that Breeze put on the field, Ben isn't even playing 50% as good as Breeze was. Ben's deteriorating in front of our eyes 100%. Let's go ahead and get into this weekend watch, though, man. We got a bunch of great games coming up this weekend, about 9:17 here on the clock. Again, appreciate everybody hopping into the chat. We've been going great on Facebook, man, YouTube, Twitter. Like I said, you'll be able to call the show next week. Subscribe, get in the chat, and just interact with us, man. We'd love to hear what you got to say about the show. But we'll go ahead and start. We'll rip the Band-Aid off first, Faze. We'll let you get this out of you. Bucks at Patriots. Crazy enough, the line is plus 5.5 Pats, but I see Bucks definitely winning by 14-21. But tell me, realistically, what do you see happening in this game this weekend?
Well, I have two different takes on the game. I'm going to give you the hopeful take. That's the first one. The hopeful take says that Bill Belichick has some type of masterful Tom Brady defense that he's been sitting in his back pocket for 10 years waiting on this moment. So he's going to come out and show him something that he's never seen because he actually knows him inside and out, and he could possibly slow him down to hold the Bucks to like around 20 points. Now, that's the hopeful take. That's not realistic. What is actually going to happen in the game is going to be bad. With the way Mac Jones is playing, the Bucs defense is far, far better than what we just watched the Saints do to them. They have a superior pass rush. The offense is going to place extreme pressure on New England's offense. I think this could be probably the worst loss of Bill Belichick's career, especially it being at home. Brady coming back into the stadium. It looks like Gronk is going to be okay to go. Brady only needs 68 yards to pass Drew Brees for the all-time passing yards record for the regular season, which I don't know if they'll stop the game and try to celebrate it out there, but it's going to be ugly. I'm really not looking forward to watching it. If y'all got something else going on Sunday night, let me know. I'll show up.
It's going to be that bad, ain't it, man? Yeah, it's going to be a tough game for sure. Really not a whole lot to say about this one. Bucks are definitely going to roll. I wouldn't be surprised if it was potentially a shutout on a New England team. Maybe they'll get 7 to 14 points, but I easily see the Bucks putting up 35 plus in this game, continuing to be a high-flying offense. And, Brady's got a major chip. Brady lied to all of us on Hulu, man, told us that he was definitely coming back, and then now here he is over here with the Bucks, winning a ring, chasing another one, which I think he's going to get, and just overall continuing to build that legacy. He's going to break the record against Belichick and against the old team. And, at the end of the day, it was just destined for Tom Brady. Not a whole lot of numbers or how the game's going to go, to get into, because we all know Bucks are going to win. I know there's going to be people out there taking the dog on the Patriots, and if you do, you're probably going to win a lot of money, but let's keep it real. Let's keep it simple. Brady and Arians are going to definitely have a heyday with the Patriots. Now, we got the whole NFC West in this weekend watch, man, and that's because we know the division is great. The teams try to improve every year. We got the Seahawks at the Niners, and this is going to be a case where Jimmy Garoppolo now coming off a tough loss at home, facing a 1-2 Seahawks, but the Seahawks have to be careful not to fall to 1-3. Who comes out victorious in this one?
I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers in this game. I think they're playing at home. They really are feeling some kind of way about losing to Green Bay last week. It was a tight game, but it's not like they played bad. The Seahawks aren't as good as the Packers. As good as Russell Wilson is, you could argue him and Aaron Rodgers, but the Seahawks are so grossly inconsistent. Like, we were just worried about Aaron Rodgers playing on the road because they normally don't play that well there, but he played like he normally plays. He just finally took the show on the road. This Seahawks team, they have historically started really bad and then tried to reel it in. The way they're looking, I don't have any faith in them putting up a big performance. Russell might put up big numbers, but I see them going out and losing again. The San Francisco is going to run the ball all over them. Jimmy G has been very accurate. He still has a host of weapons. Kittle will have another big game. I'm taking San Francisco for the win.
I feel that, man, and I got to take the upset here. I got to go with the dog of the Seahawks because they're coming off a ugly, tough loss to the Minnesota Vikings. They're at a 1-2 record. They've got high expectations. They've got dudes over there that have Super Bowl aspirations, and we talked about it before the season. Really, Pete Carroll's on my hot seat. He really is. He's got to correct something with the Seahawks team, and this is going to be a huge game to where you have to win this against the Niners. Yes, you're in Levi Stadium. You're on the road. But I see this game as being one of those where I almost said Westbrook, Russell Wilson absolutely engineers a drive, and it's going to be like when he beat the Vikings last year, the night that the Lakers won the NBA Finals. Drive of the year, it felt like at that point in the NFL season, driving down the field, 4 seconds left with a touchdown pass. Like, it's going to be one of those types of games that they're going to have to pull it out. Because you're talking about falling to 1-3 in this division. When you look at the schedule for the rest of the NFC West, it's going to be pulling teeth just to move up a standing, let alone 2 to actually try to make these playoffs. And I know we've tinkered with, can the NFC West, the entire division make the playoffs? Yeah, they could. But the NFC is already going a lot differently, especially, look, the Rams, the Panthers, you've got teams out here that are surprising you. So these playoff spots are definitely limiting day by day. But when you talk about Niners, Seahawks, can Pete Carroll truly rise to the occasion? This is a must-win game in this division. And like I said, this division is so loaded. Cardinals and Rams are playing next. So let's go ahead and get into it. Do have the Seahawks with the upset, though. Cardinals at Rams. Rams are coming off a huge win against the Bucs. And a lot of people say the Cardinals should have lost to the Vikings. They should have. It was a missed field goal. They looked a little shaky against the Jaguars. Kyler Murray definitely slowed down. But who comes out victorious in this one?
Yeah, coming off of 2 shaky wins against 2 teams that they really should not have been in tight matches with, I think they will come in and pull their pants up. They're going to show up against the Rams. The Rams are going to exhibit a little bit of a hangover from what they felt like was an early season Super Bowl win over the Bucs. So just like I said earlier, I think that game meant so much more to them than it did to Tampa. It's going to have a lasting effect moving on into this week. I think Arizona will come out and smack them in the mouth before the Rams realize that, hey, we actually have to play this week because everyone's ordaining us the best team in the league.
Right.
I don't think Sean McVay can actually get a hold on that. Ooh. I think the Cardinals will take the Rams out this week.
Ooh, Cardinals with the upset. Man, I'd love to take that pick, but I think the Rams are just too hot right now. Like I said, this is a high-flying offense in the league. Stafford looks so comfortable. McVay is clearly clicking with this guy early on, and you can see that the Rams are just flowing better. The Rams don't have to run play action now to pop the ball down the field. They'll just throw it on you. Stafford's got the arm strength, the intellect. He'll just throw it down there on you. McVay knows that bringing in Stafford, they had a lot of pressure on them. I absolutely said, you have a lot of pressure on you now that you've absolutely sent all this out. And I know you don't like the way they did Goff, and I kind of agree with you because Goff isn't horrible. But when you're in a loaded division, it's like you've got about half or maybe a third of the time to really get it together and prove yourself, even if you're losing in the Super Bowl to Bill Belichick. Tough assignment there. But I am going to take the Rams with the victory here. Now, I do think this game comes down to a battle of the defenses because I think both offenses are pretty comparable. Rams have a slight edge, and I think the Rams have a slight edge in the defensive category as well. But the Cardinals got guys. A Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons, they brought in a J.J. Watt. They've got a Chandler Jones, and they've got a Budda Baker. They've got dudes over there that can pop, that add energy to this team to where the Cardinals are going to be a team to compete with within the coming years, and I can't wait to see Kyler do it. I can't wait to see him run for MVP, but it won't be today. I've got the Rams winning, and I could see it being about a 7 to 10 point win just because that offense really gets going when they get going at home, man. But let's go ahead and bump over here. Another great game of the week, an AFC West matchup, Raiders at Chargers, and this is going to be a big one. Number 1 offense versus a team that is now starting to get the respect of a lot of people. Maybe you'll catch on Sue Fees. Who do you have, Raiders and Chargers?
I'm going to take the Las Vegas Raiders in this game. The offense has just been clicking on all cylinders. Both teams have been putting up points, but I think at the end of the day, this is going to come down to the fact that the LA Chargers are still the most undisciplined team in the entire NFL. Their penalties are going to come back to kill them. It won't even be Justin Herbert blew the game. It'll be a disgusting pass interference call, an untimely false start. It'll be some self-inflicted wound to the Chargers in a great Monday night game where the Raiders end up taking this thing. And I don't have any more things to say about Derek Carr. I'm like, all right, he's proven to me that I'm going to stop rooting that I can't root against him.
Yeah. Yeah,
he's going to go out here and put up numbers. He's going to put 400 yards up on the Chargers because their defense still isn't that good. And the Raiders are going to win.
Big win there for the Raiders. Yeah, they'll definitely be on top of the world. And the Chargers will have a true test here finally in these Raiders because we'll be able to see what is Brandon Staley really doing against Dave. This is a prolific offense with the Raiders walking in, and you're in SoFi. You're at home. Justin Herbert's going to play big. You know, Eckler, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, they're all going to look to play big. That defense that's got talent now that they're healthy, they're going to look to play big against the number one offense that is the Raiders. But you also have to ask yourself, the stakes are going to be very high in this game. And now that you're going to be moving from a 3-0 to potentially a 4-0 with the Raiders, can Derek Carr truly rise to the occasion? Because now the pressure is truly on. Now, you know the fan base is thinking, we're 3-0. We should win 12, 13 games this year. I don't think that's the case for the Raiders, but the Chargers, like I said, are truly going to have that test. And I'm excited to see Justin Herbert and Derek Carr absolutely go at it in SoFi Stadium. I do have the Chargers taking this W, though. They're going to be at home. They're feeling great after this win that they just got against the Chiefs, and they're thinking now, hey, it's a second divisional game. This is another team that we're playing that we're probably going to see down the road in the playoffs. The AFC West kind of just felt like it got loaded, at least through the first few weeks of football. Yeah. I'm going to take the Chargers here, and I believe the Raiders are favored. Or no, excuse me. I want to say the Chargers are actually favored by 1.
3.5.
3.5, actually. There we go. I see it on the screen. Excuse me. So that is a pretty big line for me because I think it'll be a little bit of a shootout. So they might not cover, but I do have the Chargers taking this game here. Now,
here's a side note on that.
What's that?
It's a home game for the Chargers, but not really.
Right. They share the stadium.
The city of no, they don't. I mean, it's Vegas, but the city of LA, they're Raider fans. They wanted the Raiders. They didn't want the Chargers.
Right.
There will be more Raider fans in there than Charger fans.
Whew. That's going to be wild. Go see like
it's
a
home
miniature
game,
black
but
hole.
it ain't.
Right.
LA absolutely wanted the Raiders.
Yeah.
They are Raider fans.
I think they belong in Vegas, though. I think they do belong in Vegas. But coming from Oakland.
Vegas is a dope landing, but they were in LA before.
Right.
And then they went to Oakland, and LA wanted them back.
Yep.
And they didn't give them to them.
Well, they should have decided that before they brought the Rams and the Chargers over.
Hey, it is what it is, but they're still Raider fans.
That's right. That's right. Now, a crazy game where the line is super weird. Broncos are favored in this game, but I absolutely don't know why. Ravens going on the road again to play a Broncos team that's absolutely played no one. Like we've said, played 3 of the 5 worst teams in the NFL. Ravens are just coming off of a win where we're scratching our heads after it. But do the Ravens get it together and take on this one?
Actually, no, they don't. The Denver Broncos have a very stout defense.
Yep.
They are great against the run, and Baltimore is heavily relying on the run. I'm not saying that Lamar Jackson cannot pass the ball, but he's not going to be able to run like what he's used to in this game. And they're playing in Mile High, so you already know he's not going to be able to breathe as well. That actually does play a big factor when teams go to Denver. It's hard to win in Mile High because of exactly what the name of the stadium is. That altitude is serious. It takes a toll on players. And from what we've seen, Detroit should have beat Baltimore. The Ravens are going to come in here, and you're going to be confused about what they are after this week. They'll be 2-2. It's like, all right, you got the big win over the Chiefs, who subsequently turned around and lost again the next week and now don't actually look like who we thought they were. And then you'll lose to the Broncos and the Raiders. Like, they're damn near played the entire AFC West already.
Right.
And they're going to be 1-2 against them. And actually having beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But no, I'm taking Denver in this game.
Denver with, well, it won't be an upset. Denver's actually favored. So I'm going to take the Ravens here with the upset. I think this is a rebound game for them. They come back and get it together. Lamar Jackson knows that, again, the stakes are high. And you're playing potentially the best secondary in the NFL. You're playing one of the top defenses in the NFL right now. You're going to be looking out for a Patrick Surtain. You know, you're going to be looking out for these pass rushers on the Broncos side of the football because the Broncos are hungry. Yeah, they might have played 3 rough teams, but this is a hungry team. This is a team that now, week in and week out, they're going to be looking for that little more respect from everyone around the league. And the Ravens already have that. The Ravens are just looking to truly build that championship pedigree and take it to the next level. And I think this test of defense, if the run game does get shut down for the Ravens, can Lamar Jackson again for a 3rd week do something that we've all said he cannot do? And so far, he's 2-0 in that aspect. So far, he's 2-0 in that aspect, and I think if he can come out here against the Broncos and truly engineer, it doesn't even have to be an aerial attack or something that's going to make us go, oh my God, Lamar can't throw the football, but you've got to come out victorious in this game. You just played the Lions close, and I know people are high on the Broncos, but I'm not a Broncos guy whatsoever. Wouldn't even put them in my top 10. Ravens have to win this football game here. Now, last one in the weekend watch before we hit the break. I'll throw it to you, Fees, and then we'll get into the picks. Panthers and Cowboys, and it's going to be a sneaky good one. Cowboys have a lot of high expectations. Panthers are 3-0. Sam Darnold's happy. He's looking really good. Who takes this one home, Fees?
I mean, you see, I got both of these teams in my top 10, and I think this is actually going to be a straight-up shootout.
Yeah.
Dallas's defense is not that good. Against a good offense, they cannot stop them. The Carolina Panthers have showed us with Sam Darnold that he's slinging it, and he's actually protecting the football.
Yep.
So I think Carolina will put up lots of points, as well as Dallas, because Dallas's offense is so good that Carolina's defense is ranked really high, and it has a lot to do with who they've played. But their defense is good. I just don't think they'll really be able to stop Dallas like that. Dallas is going to score a lot of points. I mean, they probably put up 28 to 30 points in this game, and they're still going to lose it. I think Carolina wins a tight battle where Sam Darnold really solidifies himself as being a born-again real quarterback after he got out of the New York. Like, that was just terrible. I'm taking the Panthers in this game.
This will be a big win for the Panthers if they pull it off, and I'm going to take the Panthers as well. This is going to be the game where, and we know the Cowboys are such a polar team. They're so up and down, and which way can they really go, in this aspect. But you want to ask yourself, Sam Darnold, now he's going to be facing for the most part, an improved Cowboys defense, which they're not going to be great. They're not going to, be out here truly giving teams problems. But they're going to be able to, from time to time, they're going to make you open your eyes. They're going to make you say, wow, like the Cowboys could have parts in this season. They could have parts that are going to be in their game to where they're going to be able to put those stops up, and they're going to be able to rush the passer and get those secondary lockdowns, because we know the Cowboys offense is great. We know they can fly high, but now we're also talking about another high flying offense with Sam Darnold, with the Panthers. And we know McCaffrey's going to be out, but Robbie Anderson and all the receiving crew that he has out there. But it's also a defensive battle as well, because the Panthers have learned how to play defense. So Matt Rule is doing his thing. And I guess Dan Quinn is making something work over there. Cowboys lead the league in turnovers right now. I am going to take the Panthers here. It's going to be by a slim margin. And I know a lot of Cowboys fans, they're going to feel a little weird about this win because they don't know what the Panthers truly are. But you and I being up here talking about the Panthers every week, this is going to be a good team that the Cowboys lose to, and it won't be a big deal. And they could very well come out with the win. I am going to take the Panthers here, though. Fees off. Throw it to you right before we hit the picks, man. Tell us who pays these bills, as you always say.
Yes, sir. We got to let you know who pays these bills, man. Hey, we appreciate y'all every single week for tuning in to Petty Sports. And y'all make sure you go over to kingsbroadcasting.com. Support black businesses. This is what we do. Y'all go ahead and help us out. Hit the donate button. No donation is too small. No donation is too big. Y'all can pick up all kinds of merch. We got the T-shirts. You see we both rocking the red shirts today. We got the black ones. The hoodies are on deck because the temperature is starting to drop. And if you don't live in the South, it's probably cold already.
Yep.
But, man, like, we got the tumblers. We got the cups. We got some dope stickers and decals for y'all. We got hats. We got everything you need. Like, man, tune into Petty Sports. Tell a friend. Share the show. Like it. Make sure you go to YouTube and subscribe to the show. And, man, make sure you tuning in. Like, wherever y'all listen. You got people who like to listen to podcasts. Wherever they listen, that's where we at. It don't matter what platform they on. They on Google. They on Apple. They on Spotify, Simple Radio, Twitch, Twitter, IG, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everything. We are everywhere. So, man, make sure y'all tune in to Petty Sports. Help us go viral. Y'all tune in. Give us a call. The phone line ain't open this week, but we'll absolutely be back on the popping next week. So definitely hit us up and chop it up. Let us know what you think about our takes. Let us know what you think about your team. It's 678-871-9602. Y'all holler at us on the Petty line. Let us know what's popping, man. That's what it is. Adam, let's take it away.
100%, man. Appreciate you, Fees. Brought to you by Kings Broadcasting Studios, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to get in the chat. And just tell us what you think about the show, man. Drive it up on YouTube, all platforms. It's not about where we are. It's about where you listen, like we've always said. All right, Fees. Week 4 picks and spreads are here. You went 11-5 last week. I went 10-6. It's a lot of fun keeping up with these picks. So now you're one up on me in the season predictions. Fee sits at 31-17, and Adam sits at 30-18. But let's go ahead and get into the top ugly Thursday night football game, potentially. Jags at Bengals, Bengals are favored by 7.5. Who do you got in this one?
Oh, I'm absolutely taking the Cincinnati Bengals, and I think they actually will cover this spread. The Jaguars are bad. They're going to turn the ball over a lot. Cincinnati's not going to meet a lot of resistance with that Jaguars defense because they only have a defense because they're technically someone on the other side of the ball. I think Cincinnati is going to run the score up. It's going to be an ugly game on Thursday. I'm taking the Bengals all day. The Cincinnati Bengals are going to be 3-1. Imagine that.
Yeah.
I don't even think any Cincinnati fans pick that.
Right. And only a loss to a Bears team who's shaky right now. So it's like, do you really feel some type of way about that? I've got the Bengals winning also. I think they'll cover as well. Lawrence has struggled bad this year. Joe Burrow's connecting with Jamar Chase. And overall, when you just see there's no way to break it down. The Bengals are clearly playing better than the Jaguars right now. There's a chance that these Jags don't win a game this year, which I would really hate for Trevor Lawrence. Maybe they'll eke out 1, 2, 3 games. Who knows? We're not talking about the Jags at this moment, though. Bengals are favored by 7.5, and I think they win and cover that spread. Now the Titans at the Jets. Jets are at plus 7.5. Crazy enough, it kind of feels like that's a lot of points for a Titans team, but we'll see. Who do you have taking this one home?
It is a Titans team that has a very porous defense, but as bad as Zach Wilson has been, I don't even have that little faith in the Titans' raggedy defense to not be able to stop that.
Right.
I think they'll force multiple turnovers. The Jets are going to be the Jets. I think Derrick Henry has another monster game, and the Titans will roll. That's going to be an easy Sunday for Tennessee. Yeah. Titans will win and cover the spread.
Titans win. I don't know why. Something's telling me about the spread. I think 7.5 points. Jets are at home. They're tired of getting talked about. Maybe Zach Wilson finally busts through. I don't know. 7.5 points. I'm sticking to my gut. Seems like a lot of points here. I will take the Titans to win, though. Don't think they cover the spread. Derrick Henry is absolutely going to eat this team up. Don't be surprised if he's running for like 220, 250 in this game. I mean, seriously, we know the Jets. Now, they've had spurts last season trying to stop the runner, but they were never an efficient team that was truly going to stop you from pounding the ball through that front seven. Julio Jones, of course, is probably going to run wild. Tannehill's going to be comfortable, and you're just going to have guys all over the field for Tennessee to win this football game. Now we've got the Lions at the Bears.
But I got a hot one off the presses for you.
Okay.
Our resident Tennessee Titans fan. I hope you didn't think that I wasn't going to actually air you out for this. No, it's not in the chat.
Oh, okay.
He actually hit me up. Said the Titans are going to lose one of the next 2 games. And, you know, they play the Jets and the Jags the next 2 games. And he said normally Derrick Henry runs all over the Jags. So he actually said that they'll probably lose to the New York Jets.
To NYJ?
But he's got the audacity to be over here talking greasy to Jamila about how they're going to beat Pittsburgh when they play them, but you think the Jets are going to beat you.
Good, because you were taking another L when you played.
Same guy who was going to pick Christian McCaffrey over Derrick Henry, his beloved.
Oh, man. And he guilted you into it. He got you.
All these contradicting statements. You know, I'm not letting you get away with it. It's ridiculous.
Jamila, I feel sorry for you. Steelers are on a little bit of a downward spiral. Not even a little bit. They're just, it's going down. I'm sorry, Jamila. I know you hop in there every week about your Steelers, but
you come join me in the pit of misery.
Right. We'll see at the end of the season what they're truly doing. So Lions at Bears. Bears are favored by 3. Who do you have?
Oh, I'm taking Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions in this game all day long. The Chicago Bears are bad. I mean, I don't think Justin Fields will look this bad again, but I'm not sure that Justin Fields is even going to play. It really doesn't matter. Whether it's Andy Dalton, Justin Fields, or Nick Foles, the Chicago Bears are absolutely not a very good football team. They're not being well coached. Their schemes, their play calling, nothing is working out. Outside of Khalil Mack, they've got nothing. The way Detroit has been playing, like, man, Campbell has them boys playing hard. Like, they have been in every game that they've played, and Jared Goff has been looking very good. So I think this will be the first W for the Detroit Lions this year.
Ooh, that would be a huge upset. And just because of how last game went, it's going to be another quarterback changeup. It's going to be another obstacle for Nagy to get over. And Jared Goff hasn't been playing bad this year. I think he's going to be able to take advantage of that Bears defense that's pretty much underperforming at this point in the season. And you know, that was the biggest praise of this team, is they've always been able to lock down defensively. Even when they had Trubisky, they've always been able to play well on the defensive side of the football. But it's always been the offense. You know, what's up with David Montgomery? What's up with the health of my running backs? What's up with my quarterback situation? And now, again, like I said, I'm highly pissed off by the way Justin Fields looked on Sunday. And I hope this can come together for a Bears team. I don't have them winning this football game. I think the Lions win. So they'll cover get your money on this one. But I just hope, for the Bears' sake, something looks better on Sunday, because Nagy's job is going to be getting called for within the next 4 weeks if something doesn't change for this team. And I think every Bears fan could agree with me there. Now I've got the Colts at the Dolphins. This is going to be a tough pick, and we both said it before we got on, because you got your Dolphins -2.5 with the Jacoby Brissett. Now, I know them going to overtime with a Raiders team really put Vegas kind of on their back, but who truly takes this one home? It's a tough pick.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the Colts in this game just because they have a superior defense and the familiarity. Jacoby Brissett was with the Colts. They know him. It's not an element of surprise of what it is that he can or cannot do. The Indianapolis Colts are going to come out in this game and know exactly what they need to do to fluster and shut down Jacoby, because they watched him go 3-13 as their quarterback, as they had a good defense and used to beat him up in practice every day. So I think the Colts will come out and straight shut the Dolphins down.
I could see it happening too, though. I really could, because that was a great point there. I didn't even take that into account. The Colts do know Brissett, but the Colts being 0-3, like, they're trying so hard not to panic. They really have to get a win under their belt, because this is probably the most underperforming team in the league right now. We've talked about it time and time again. They've got the Super Bowl type roster with the offensive players, with the defensive players. They've got a decent coach over there. But again, when you're falling short at your quarterback position, and this is a bad division. This is one of the worst divisions, maybe the worst one in the league next to the NFC East. No question about it. But when you talk about the Colts still sitting at 0-3, they've got to get a win here over a Dolphins team that is really having their backs up against the wall. And if Brissett comes out, torches this team, covers the spread, which, again, taking the Colts, I think they'll upset. You'll get your money there. But it's going to be a really rough look if the Dolphins come out and beat this Colts team, because when you go to 0-4, you're basically done for in the playoffs. Nobody's going to be looking at you after that.
You can just quit the season from there.
Yep.
Kyle Mayo, we got a Texans fan in the house. They say it can't get any worse. So y'all actually are the worst team in the league. I don't think y'all are worse than the Jaguars.
Kyle, I don't know his worse, the Texans or the Jaguars. Wesley over here trying to change it up. Don't talk about me and my Steelers. All right. Browns at Vikings. Vikings are +2 here. And this is another interesting one, because you see the Vikings upset the Seahawks. Vegas again, giving them these. I think these are, I don't know. I don't agree with this line at all. But who takes this one home?
I'm taking the Cleveland Browns all day long. I mean, Cleveland is a superior football team on both sides of the ball at pretty much every position all across the board. I think a 2-point spread is actually disrespectful.
Right.
Cleveland should win this game handily. Even if it takes a minute, if it's a close through 2.5 quarters, Cleveland will end up taking this game and running away with it, and the final score will end up being bad.
Yeah. +2. Sheesh. Yeah, that I agree. The amount of points for the Browns at that point, like, we know the Vikings can potentially stop you if they decide to have a good defensive day, but they're not that defensive culture that they were just a few seasons ago, where they were hitting you hard and they were making it tough for you to move the football. I do think the Browns win here. I do think the Browns are able to cover the spread, and I think they can cover by potentially 7-14. The Browns, they're looking for a really just good win. They're looking to dig their nose in. They're looking to really put their feet in the ground for this one and just come back with another W, definitely in their, on their record. Let's move on here to Washington at the Falcons, and the Falcons are +1.5. And this feels like another maybe tricky pick, because now Washington's kind of been exposed. Bills just really run them through the dirt. Falcons are coming off of a last-second win against the Giants there, but Falcons at +1.5. Does this feel accurate to you?
It does feel accurate, because this game is another close one, just like last week with the New York Giants. We really didn't know which direction to go, and that was a very tight game. I think this will be another tight one that Washington will pull out, just for the mere fact that the Falcons are excellent at finding ways to lose football games. Like, it's pretty sad. I mean, for the fans of the city of Atlanta, it's like, Jesus Christ. You play teams, you have more talent, you just don't produce. It's mind-boggling, really. You flip-flop the coaches. I mean, maybe it's time to look at moving number 2, as a lot of you call him.
Moving number 2 is a man. Yeah. Can't even call him by his name. So Falcons +1.5. I don't know. This is a hard one. This feels like a pick 'em to me. Falcons are at home, though. I think I'll take them with the upset. I really think I will. Being at home, back in the dome, you've already handled an NFC East team. Washington's a little banged up, and they're kind of looking for themselves now. Again, another week where Chase Young has not been a factor, another week where your linebackers have not been a factor, but also you got to look at the fact that the defense overall, we talked about it a couple times already, walking into this season and not being able to perform like that. I think they're definitely underperforming, or maybe we overshot on these, on the Washington football team here. But as much as I could take Washington, I'm going to take the Falcons and what feels like a pick 'em. I think they'll cover the spread and get their upset here. Texans at the Bills. Bills are minus 15.5 in this game. Clear win. I'll go ahead and tell you Bills are winning this one. Who do you have?
Oh, Buffalo's winning the game, and they'll cover the spread. I mean, the spread is outlandishly high, but you just saw how bad they beat Washington.
Yep.
The Houston Texans are nowhere near even as hopeful as Washington.
Right.
Taylor Heineken's better than whatever they've got walking out there. Who is it? Mills starting at quarterback?
Davis Mills. Yep. Out of Stanford.
Yeah, if they obliterated Washington like that, it's going to be worse for Houston. I mean, just like our man Kyle Mayo just came on about how he doesn't know how much worse it really could get for his Texans.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse because now you're actually starting to play better football teams.
Right. You've been losing the tough ones. Now it's time to lose the good ones where it really
I can't wait till week 5 because we play you.
He's like, I'm salivating on that win, man. Now, you just better hope you damn win, Fees. That's all I got to say, bro. I think y'all will win, but he's like, I just can't even process that because
don't do this right now.
Right. He's like, Adam, we're live. We're on the air. We got to get through this. All right, man. Giants at Saints. Saints are minus 7.5. First time back in the Dome. Feeling great off of a win. Giants just lost a close one. Who takes this one home, Fees?
Saints win the game. I'm not 100% sure about the spread.
Right.
I mean, the Giants, they've got a lot going on. They have a lot on the line.
Yep.
Like, they need W's. Garrett is out there bad. Joe Judge is possibly going to be on the hot seat. They're going to start looking at what they need to do with trying to move Danny Dimes. Most disgusting name ever for a quarterback who doesn't deserve it.
Dude tripped in the open field, and somehow they dubbed him Danny Dimes. Don't know how.
Yeah, missed a wide open receiver and lost the game to the football team. Jesus. Yeah, the Giants are bad. They're going to lose the game. I mean, it's possible the Saints could cover. I wouldn't bet on that.
Yeah, because, I don't know. You're right, because that feels like one of those tricky lines because the Saints definitely have the defensive presence to cover that. But I mean, when you're talking about a small line like that in terms of a team in the Giants who does have, some offensive weapons, I'm not really worried about Daniel Jones, but he could engineer a little 250-yard game, couple touchdowns, maybe a turnover or two against the Saints defense, who's really been carrying them the whole season. Do have the Saints winning this one though, and I think there's no way you can bet against New Orleans. They're back in the Dome. They've faced adversity all year. They've been sleeping out of hotels and probably eating TV dinners 24/7. Like, these guys are really just looking to get back home, get back into the Dome, and just get back into the facility and overall get their bearings back and feel like a normal football team again. So I'm going to take the Saints here. I don't know about the line though. Chiefs at Eagles. Eagles are +7, and this is another disrespectful line, but like I said, early in the season, Vegas is jumping on some of these trends. Who do you have here though?
I mean, I'm taking the Chiefs, but I don't actually think that the line is disrespectful because the Kansas City defense, along with the amount of turnovers that they've been actually producing week in and week out, every single game they've played in has been one possession. So it's not far-fetched to think that Jalen Hurts could have a really good game against them and actually put up points. I don't think he can put up enough to beat them.
Right.
But he can keep them in that football game to where this line actually could get really tight. I mean, I'm going to take the Chiefs to win, absolutely, but they might not cover 7. I think that might be a push on the spread.
Heard on that. Push on the spread.
They might win by 7.
Right. Heard, man. Heard. Whew. I feel you there. So I do have the Chiefs winning this one. Like I said, I just think the line is too low for them. Chiefs sitting at 1-2. They've heard the criticism. They hear people. They know that people are kind of hitting the panic button. And like I said, there's really no reason to. We're so young into the season. We've seen the Chiefs time and time again pull themselves out of this hole to where they rebound. I think they cover here. I think they win. Mahomes has a hell of a game. Andy Reid is fired up. He just got out of the hospital after that game, so he's just looking to get back onto the field and just implement a W for his 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs that nobody saw being at last place in the division at any point in the season.
No.
Maybe outside of week 1 if they just happened to lose week 1 and everybody else came out victorious. Excuse me. Panthers at the Cowboys. Another great game here. Cowboys are -5, but I know we both picked the Panthers with the upset. But what truly decides this game for you?
I mean, I think Sam Darnold actually going to decide this game. I think this is a signature game for his career. Doesn't have to be against one of the major big boy contenders because he's coming from the Jets. He's out here with the Panthers. They're 3-0. This is definitely their biggest test thus far this season. And I think he shows up and shows out. Sam will have a very big game. I think it'll be a 300-plus yard, 3 to 4 touchdown type of game on a big stage against the Cowboys team on the road, and will really have people start looking at Carolina like, hey, are they for real, for real?
Yeah, that's a very good possibility. I'm taking Panthers as well here with the upset line. Again, at -5 for the Cowboys. Cowboys at home. They're going to be in Jerry Ward. They're going to feel confident. And this team's riding a lot of energy right now. But the Panthers, I just think overall they are the better team than the Cowboys right now. I think the coaching is better. Of course, the defense is better. And you can argue that the offense is going to hang with them. You predicted a shootout. I could see it as well. Definitely taking the upset here with the Panthers. And it's going to be a great game. I can't wait to see it. And by the way, I'm going to start Darnold in fantasy. Don't know if you are, but I'm definitely starting Darnold in fantasy because we have Russell Wilson playing the San Francisco 49ers, who are favored by 3 in Levi's Stadium. You think San Francisco avenges a victory here, or avenges a loss rather from last week against the Packers?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely have San Francisco winning this game. I think they're going to harass Russell Wilson. I mean, he's too good for you to just completely beat him up, but he has consistently taken more sacks than any other quarterback in the league since he's been in the league. And I don't think that changes a whole lot because this team knows them very well. And I see San Francisco shutting them down. There's no defensive presence in Seattle. San Francisco is going to go clock control, run the ball, and they'll have Jimmy just make the throws that he needs to make.
Yep. I feel you there, man. 100% feel you there. Now, it's always funny picking these NFC West games because you have the Niners at -3, and that line, I don't know. I would definitely stay away from that line because you never know how these NFC West games could be. But I'd take the Seahawks in an upset here. They needed it 1-2. Like I just mentioned, Pete Carroll is really feeling it now. Russell Wilson has to get out there and play better because this is a Seahawks team that, we talked about it in our predictions before we hit the season. Everybody's expecting this team to go to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl. They have that type of talent, and especially after the defense turning it around last year the way that they did, bringing in a Carlos Dunlap, getting Jamal Adams back from injury. They were trying to make that defensive trend, to those Legion of Boom days. Those Legion of Boom days with all the guys they had back there just lighting it up and truly taking the league by storm. But I do take the Seahawks here with the upset, so I think if go with my perspective, you'll cover and win your money. Cardinals at Rams. Rams -5.5, and this is going to be a great game as well. Big defensive presence with both teams, and Rams are definitely looking to stay undefeated. But how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I mean, on all accounts, the Rams look like a better football team, but I think they don't show up for this game. I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals to come out here with a chip on their shoulder to actually prove that they're as good as their record says that they are. They're very familiar with the Rams. And I think Kyler has a monster day against that defense because the defense didn't really present Brady any problems. Mm-hmm. They didn't get their offense delivered. So I'm taking the Cardinals to win this one in an upset because they're +5.5. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So for fees, Cardinals cover, take the upset. I'm going to stick with the Rams here. I think the Rams take this football game home, -5.5. They're going to be at home, and they're going to be feeling a little bit of that pressure as well, from the fans that wanted one of the Raiders over there. But this is a high-flying Rams offense, and like I said before, no reason to dig into it again. We'd be crazy to put anybody else right now. As of right now in the NFL season, the Rams being the best team, the offense absolutely goes insane, and we've seen what the defense can do as well. Steelers at Packers. Packers are -6.5, and this could be an ugly one for the Steelers.
Oh, yeah, man, I've absolutely got the Packers blowing out the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is not going to be a close football game. The Packers might win this game by 28. It could be really bad.
Yeah, Packers definitely take this one home here as well. Packers, Packers are at home. Packers are coming off of they're coming off back-to-back primetime wins. They're coming off a great road win. And now that they're going to be able to go back home, they're going to have an Aaron Jones back in sync. They're going to have a Devontae Adams back in sync. Not that they were ever playing bad, but they're going to be back in Green Bay. They're going to be back in Lambeau. And Aaron Rodgers overall, we know this guy's got a chip on his shoulder. We saw the MVP. We saw the drama in the offseason, and he wants to get back to the Super Bowl. He is trying to keep that record the best it can be and take this Packers team to ultimate heights. And I take the Packers here with this win, and I do agree. Definitely could be an ugly one for the Steelers. Absolutely. Ravens at Broncos. Broncos -1. I know we both have the Ravens here, but what how badly, I guess, well, never mind. You have the Broncos.
I don't have the Ravens. I got the Denver Broncos.
Right, you do.
Actually coming in to shut down Baltimore. I think they'll shut down the run game. I think this will be a very difficult game for Lamar. I think Denver will take this one at home in Mile High.
There we go. I do have the Ravens taking this one. It will be an upset, I guess, in terms. But Lamar knows. Close game against the Lions. I just got bailed out by Justin Tucker. And he does have a tough defense to face. But like I said earlier, if Lamar can come out again, do something that we've all said he can't do, and become that better player, then the Ravens have a great chance at winning this football game. And they definitely will cover with the upset here. Bucks at Patriots. Pats plus 5.5. Bucks.
Yeah.
How much they win by?
Winning. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the damn score was like 52-6. It's disgusting. I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear you say it again. No, I'm just messing with you. A couple minutes before we get out of the show here, guys. Appreciate all the support this evening. Again, subscribe, get in the chat, share it with a friend, hit the bell, like the video. We super appreciate you guys. Raiders at Chargers. Chargers minus 3.5. This is going to be a great game this weekend. Love that it's going to be on Monday night. Great AFC West showdown. Who do you have winning this one?
Oh, I'm taking Vegas. I think they will go into L.A., which is their actual home stadium. They're going to take the W. Derek Carr is going to have another monster game. 1,600 yards after 4 games. It'll be unheard of. He's going to be the MVP frontrunner, which he probably already is at this moment, and that's going to continue. I think Justin Herbert will have a decent game. It's not going to be enough. Just like I told you, they're too undisciplined. Their penalties are going to hurt them, and if he turns the ball over even one time, it's going to be too much. Because we've already seen the Raiders, even if you smack them in the mouth and you get up, they will come back. They're extremely resilient.
Right. They don't ever stop swinging. And John Gruden knows that, a lot is on the line for this Raiders team this year. And with Derek Carr, finally getting back to himself, like we've wondered, was Derek Carr before the injury kind of a fluke? And this is the season where Carr is showing us that, I've still got it in the tank. I can still throw on the run. I can still be athletic. I can still show you some football IQ to take my team to ultimate heights. I don't think it's enough to get past this Chargers team, though. I picked them earlier when we did the weekend watch. I think the Chargers take a good win here. Now, the line is a little tricky. I do think the line is a little tricky because the Raiders are definitely a resilient team, and they're going to be coming to play, definitely. They're going to be on the road. Big divisional showdown, high stakes, because if you split this with a tiebreaker and that down the road Chargers are maybe going to have the same record as you're going to start pulling teeth when you're looking at numbers here, and I don't think the Raiders want that, but that is what's going to happen. Chargers do win this football game, and Justin Herbert's going to be feeling good after this one. I think the Raiders come back a little bit because this is a defense that they have to face in the Chargers, which I know you don't get them a lot of credit, but this is a defense that can hang, not with some of the best, but they're going to be able to slow down this offense, and I think it's going to be a little bit of a reality check for the Las Vegas Raiders. But that is going to wrap the Week 4 picks for you guys. Appreciate everybody tuning in on Petty Sports tonight, Tuesday night edition. We go live at 8 o'clock. We go through the NFL every week. It's all NFL from here on out. Subscribe. Appreciate y'all getting in the chat and viewing us live. And again, it's not about where we are. It's about where you listen. Petty Sports will be back next Wednesday. Fees, take us out of here, man.
Absolutely. Y'all make sure y'all tune back in next Wednesday. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Y'all share it. Subscribe. Tune into the show. You can follow me at Famous Fees. I'm on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of them good things. Man, y'all, we appreciate y'all so much. Y'all make sure you follow the picks. And as always, every single week, y'all keep it petty.
Petty Sports out, baby.
Very